everybody. Welcome to Frame Trap. We have a special episode for you today. As we've said before, when right next to me, Bradley Ellis, and right next to him, Michael Huber, when they're on the show together with me, it's a very distinct vibe. You can't get this kind of vibe with any other group of panelists. It's just... It could be nonsense. It could be... I'm worried we could get a little bit too loose, but I'm also excited for that possibility.
We need like a sick nickname for us.
Yeah?
When we get together. Something to deal with like Yakuza or something like that.
Let the allies decide. Post some names.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. We'll see what they come up with.
Run wild, folks. I'm going to be hosting you through this. I'm Ben Moore. And I wanted to open up the pre-show banter with a question. We've been out of school for a long time.
Yes. We're old.
Are we old?
Yeah.
All right.
But there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with being old.
Getting old's cool.
I
Old
love
snake.
when they call Kazuma old.
Yeah.
Man.
It's like,
So
if someone
good.
calls you old, just think of Kazuma. And you're like,
Yeah.
All right.
yeah, hell yeah, dude.
All right.
Like,
We gonna start an orphanage?
I don't know if you want to be old Snake with like back pain and stuff sneaking around. Yeah.
Oh.
That mustache though. Pretty impressive.
I still think him just like smoking as you're installing the game is pretty incredible.
Soothing. Yeah. It's like break time, dude.
I don't
Get some
advocate
snacks.
cigarette smoke, but like
course.
in that moment,
But it's like
pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's like break time to chill out
Yeah.
for a second. You just got like 30 minutes of lore dumped on you and you're trying to process it.
And those intros to 4. 4 is a weird game.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've been out of school for a long time.
Yeah.
And that's... You could definitely tell you're starting to get older when you're like, oh, 2008, that doesn't seem that long ago. Like,
Oh
it really
my God,
doesn't. Like,
yeah.
2008 does not seem
That old.
that old to me at all. It feels like just yesterday, but that was 10 years ago. Anyway, the whole point of this is, since you are now old men and you've been out of school for a long time,
Yes.
is there anything about school that you miss dearly? Or things that you didn't appreciate at the time that you do appreciate now?
The thing I miss about school is seeing a lot of my friends every day that I don't hang out with as much, you know?
Yeah.
Like just, you know, friends, like school friends, you know?
Yeah.
Like, had a lot of friends at school that I necessarily wouldn't hang out with all the time outside of school, but I would hang out with them during school and stuff like that.
Yeah, Brett, I think that's a really good point. I basically, outside of my girlfriend and you guys, I'm just working on stuff. And that's my life. And I love you guys, but I feel like I can come in and we can start talking about Yakuza spoilers or
that's the
release
thing.
dates or anything. It was nice going to school and being exposed to people who didn't give a shit about that
Correct.
stuff. You know, just a completely different crowd
I mean,
of
we
people.
just talk to, like, if we want that, we just gotta talk to, like, Jones or something about something he doesn't care about. Like anime or something
Yeah,
like
but
that.
even Jones is getting
But, like,
infected.
yeah,
Even
but
Jones
it's
has
like,
got like a
we're
little
really-
anime seed growing inside of
We
him.
need someone to dump information on who doesn't care.
Right. Well, I don't know about that. I just enjoy... What I miss most about school is just honestly learning stuff. And specifically, I mean college, where you had a little bit more control
Sure, yeah,
over
what you
what
wanna
you
learn.
learn. Not that you can't do that as an adult. I
Correct.
don't want to make excuses, but I think, obviously, the pressure and structure of school...
I think you're just in that mindset more.
Right. It helps with that. How about
Absolutely.
you, Huber?
Being able to get up early.
What time do you normally get up now?
Now? Oh, like 10, 10:30. Yeah.
What time do you go to bed? I know a lot of you guys
Like
stay
2.
up real late.
I like
Yeah.
that, like, go to sleep at 2, get up at 10 is, like,
Oh, okay,
usually
that's not as
my-
late.
Get your 8 hours
When you tell me
sleep.
you do all-nighters, I'm just like, dude, I
When
can't
I-
do that.
When a big game comes out, I'll
Gotcha.
stay up really late. But,
A year or two ago, I would be up till like 5 regularly, and I just can't anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just age or what it is, but now I usually between 2 and 3. Sometimes it goes farther than that. But
Depending on
normally
the
it's
year.
about 2 and 3. I'm up usually around 9, but that can
Oh, wow.
that can change too.
Beth
later
works
than
in
that.
a restaurant, so she's, like, works really late. So
Yeah,
that
so you're
contributes
sometimes you're
too.
up late.
So
Yeah.
she'll come home, like, wired up at, like, 11:30. Then we'll eat.
She's probably having
Watch some
Coca-Cola and
TV.
coffee again, like
Yeah.
always.
Yeah.
A maniac.
Yeah.
The problem with me and working at home is I struggle to eat at a consistent time, particularly lunch.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll eat lunch at exactly noon. Sometimes it won't be like 3 or 4 o'clock when I'm eating lunch, just
Yeah.
because you'll get wrapped up in something and you just want to keep doing that thing,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Absolutely.
Fortnite.
Fortnite.
Fortnite, that's right.
Haven't played in a while.
I haven't played Fortnite in months at this point.
Apparently they're
Not for-
releasing at PAX tonight some like heist mode. So excited. Heist and Fortnite.
I'm not just trying to
Yes.
throw this on Fortnite, but man, sometimes it feels like, all right, I have to choose this thing or the rest of video games.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that can be a little bit painful. Is there anything else you miss from school? Any wisdom that you want to impart on people?
Just enjoy it while you
Yeah,
can.
just enjoy it because like tests and the grind beat you down, and you know school has its ups and downs, but it's only for such a tiny little part of your life, you know. So
Yeah. Dude, my
make
brother,
the best of it.
my brother's in school too. He was like 30-something. He's a dentist now. So school forever.
Yeah,
But yeah.
it's nuts.
Yeah, so with your brother, though, he went to law school and stuff, though,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to everybody's school experience.
Right.
Obviously, it changes depending on what you're studying. But I will say, just on my own, when I was in school, it felt like the most stressful, most
Absolutely,
all-consuming
dude. Yeah.
thing ever. And you really just have no idea. Like, things get crazier from there. So
Yeah.
take the time to just screw around and
Yeah.
have some fun.
I wish I was more motivated when I was in school, for sure.
Yeah.
I felt like I did all right in school. Like, I graduated, obviously, like that. But I could have taken it more seriously, for sure. And I feel like if I went, now that I'm old, I would do way better in school.
Yeah, I hear you. Definitely. That's true for me as well to a degree. Freshman and sophomore year of high school, I did nothing. Like, I was the biggest goof off of all time. I did kind of snap out of it junior year and senior year, and I whipped things together just fine. But, yeah. All right. That's enough of school.
Stay in school.
The reason we went
Stay
to
in
school is so we
Stay in
could
school.
sit here and
Study
talk
hard.
about video
Study
games.
hard. Do your best.
Kind of. Not really. I don't know.
That's why I went to school. To be right here.
Yeah,
Yeah, worked
not
out.
originally why I went to school, but like ended up at that point.
Yeah, not what I went to school for.
Hubert, we have something to celebrate, I think. The thing that we have to celebrate is a wish that you've had for many years. I don't know if it's been like for as long as I've known you, but it kind of feels that way. You've wanted Shenmue HD.
Starting
It
off
almost
right.
felt like we
Let's go.
would like be talking about something. Maybe we'd just be talking about the weather, and you would pop in and you'd just be like Shenmue HD.
No,
Just to,
because
like-
you talk about the weather, and he'd be like, well, you know, in Shenmue, you can, like, hold the phone and get the weather, right?
Yeah, but I mean, this has been... Because you get hyped up about a lot of things. You want a lot of things. We all want a lot of things. But this has been a long time coming.
Yes.
And it is here. It is upon us. We did a group stream of it. I've been primarily playing Dragon Quest, but I've snuck in a little Shenmue, and I have some thoughts. But now that it's finally here, Michael Huber, how did they do?
They did perfectly. In my for me personally,
Yeah.
it is an absolute perfect remaster. I wouldn't change a pixel on this thing, straight up, because you know we've been through the remaster phase of like just up like one generation, you know, like PS2 to PS3 or like a PS3 game to PS4. This is a Dreamcast game coming all the way up to this generation, and it just looks so faithful to the original. It just feels like I'm playing it for the first time again. It's been unbelievable. I still haven't finished it yet because I've been playing Yakuza, but I love that they tweaked a little bit of the inventory system and added the Japanese VO. But man, it's been good.
Yeah, so Shenmue is a game where you get through a lot of it just by talking to people, by digging up information. And so my question to you, as somebody who is very familiar with Shenmue, that knows the ins and outs of it, when you know where to go and who to talk to, does that take away some of the magic?
A tiny bit. Again, it's really felt like the first time again for me because I haven't played Shenmue alone all the way through in a really, really long time, you know? I'm going to stream it, of course, again, for the allies and do a full playthrough, but I've just been enjoying it on my own with my own thoughts. I've been able to just be in it and analyze it and live in that world. And, you know, it is one of my favorite games of all time, but it is kind of like a Stanley Kubrick situation where I haven't finished it that many times. Like, I've only beat Shenmue. I've finished it less than 10 times, whereas Resident Evil 2, you know, I say like 100 times.
I haven't fished that
for
many
real.
times.
Yeah.
10 times is a lot,
Less
dude.
than 10. Less than 10.
On the Huber scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, all relative here.
Relative, exactly.
I do think 10 times is a lot.
Yeah,
I agree
less
with
than
Brad.
10. So there have been parts, like there were a couple, like 1 or 2 moments where I was like, who do I have to talk to again to like trigger this? And that was so fun because it's like those early stages of the game is like you just got to hit the pavement, hit the ground running, and like talk to the people in the community, and like you're like a detective. It's amazing.
When I think of Shenmue, I think of the official Dreamcast magazine.
Yeah.
Because I put a lot of stock in video game magazines back in the day. I got just as excited to get like a new PSM or a new official Dreamcast magazine as I was to get a new game. That's how much I loved it. I loved reading about what people were thinking about games. It was just a huge passion of mine. And they treated, or I remember them treating, I don't want to, it's been a while since I've looked at official Dreamcast magazine. They treated it like the second coming.
Definitely.
And they hyped it up so much, and I was so excited. It was like, hey, here's this huge, ambitious cinematic game. And I remember getting it. I remember loving all of the little details. I remember freaking out that you could go to the gacha machine. I loved that you could go and play Hang On and Space Harrier, all that stuff. But I remember, and I was very young at the time. This was 2000. This was 18 years ago. I remember like not knowing where to go, and this happening multiple times, where like I would play it, not know where to go, get frustrated, stop. Time would pass. I would boot up Shenmue again, like have fun with the world.
Yeah.
Not know where to go, stop. How was your experience with it, and do you think that is something for new players? Do you think that could be potentially frustrating for them?
No, I think because we were young, games were just a little more not confusing, but like when you're young, you don't really follow a system, now we're like so trained as like completionists and like to beat a video game, it's like objective, and we're balancing that in your head. And yeah, I think it just encourages you to explore and kind of go with the wind, and just talk to people and go with the flow. Like the game will hint, you have your journal all the time, and it's like kind of what you need to do next. There are maybe like 1 or 2 ambiguous parts, but I don't think it's too bad or too crazy.
Yeah, I'm my revisitation of it, and I do want to actually like get through 1 and 2 this time. Once Dragon Quest is eventually over and like work stuff is taken care of. But so I'm at Charlie, looking for Charlie.
Great arc.
But even in this amount of time that I've put into it, something that I've really been appreciative of is I think so many games kind of wrap themselves around the player and pride themselves on that. What do you want to do? How do you want to experience this? What's most fun and convenient for you? And Shenmue totally doesn't do that. Like there are just parts in that game where it's like, you can't do this. Like you have a bunch of in-game time where you can't move on, figure it out, go explore, and that sort of like smell the roses attitude is really wonderful. And it wouldn't be so wonderful if there wasn't so much to see. Just even exploring Ryo's house and how much there is in just that tiny little space where you start the game is pretty wonderful. And I think even now I kind of appreciate that mentality from a designer's standpoint of like, listen, man, like it's not just about checking things off a list. Like we built this place to immerse you in it, enjoy it, and don't feel bad for enjoying it.
It's not just about the world. It's about how you go through it to make it so realized, to make it one of my favorite video game worlds of all time. Like we've seen, Yakuza looks so good and they model it after Tokyo and Osaka. But it's like the way that shops open and close, so many characters feel realized. They feel like real people, even though the dialogue is wooden and the controls are a little wooden. It still feels like these characters have a history, and I love that.
I do have a problem with sometimes not being able to progress through time because like I know the game's about exploring the town, but it's sometimes like I don't really want to play Hang On to like kill time. I don't want to punch the machine over and over again, kind of thing like that. Like, yeah, there's stuff to do, but sometimes I feel like I don't really want to do any of the stuff, you know? Like, I think they fixed that in 2, kind of like you could skip time, right, or something like that. I think it, for the time being, if I was in that, like, when I play this game, I think about the year 2000, how crazy all of this is. I was playing like Majora's Mask at that time, like that, like an N64 game.
Yeah.
But it's like Shenmue's like a whole different level, but I could still feel some of the more older designs kind of there. But it's like nothing like a big deal, but I have been at parts where I need to progress time. I'm like, well, I just got to sit here. I'm just going to leave Rio here for a minute. I'm going to go do something else for a little bit while I wait.
I love that.
Yeah. I mean,
love
it's
it.
like, yeah, it's cool, but sometimes I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much the game does that at certain points like that.
Couple parts. You'll have to like meet someone at a certain time, and
I wasn't clear like at a point where to do something like the tattoo shop. I wasn't clear like what time that was. I don't know if I missed something or not. And I was just like, am I doing this right? Am I at the right spot? Something kind of like that.
Did you do that whole part?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm past that.
Oh yeah. You told me you got to the
Yeah,
harbor.
Yeah, I'm at the harbor now.
Brett, I think that's a really fair point that you bring up. I do. But to me, it kind of falls into this mood-based play.
Yeah.
Where there is just kind of this very relaxed, very lackadaisical mood to Shenmue. And you're right. I don't want that all the time. Sometimes I just want to boot up a game and I want to go and I don't want to put up with any of its nonsense. I don't want to wait or I don't want to do the things that it has available for me. I just want to progress. I want that satisfaction. But every once in a while, I really crave something like an Animal Crossing where it's just like the point is to just kind of flutter around. I think
that's good, but at some points in Shenmue, the story really picks up, especially where I'm at, and I want to keep going. Then it just kind of grinds me to a halt for a little bit. Like, it makes sense in the world. Like, certain times you can only do certain things. Like, that makes sense with this, with like the citizens in the world because they are doing their own kind of thing like that. But I'm just kind of like, yeah, I want to see the next part though. Yeah, and I just kind of gotta wait. I'm like, yeah, I get it, I respect it, but I just kind of want to keep going. Yeah.
I am really impressed with just a bunch of the little things where it's like, hey, do you want to check the time? Like, that is going to be contextualized by Rio's watch.
Yeah.
Hey, do you want hints on where to go? That's not
Check
just
the
going to be
journal.
it's going to be in a journal that you flip and you hear that the turning of the page. And just, all of that, all of that stuff, and just like training before bed. It's just all of the things that would be relegated to like this kind of abstract UI. It's like they're kind of making an effort to put it into the world. And I like that and appreciate that a lot.
It's cool that I'm older now, so like I'm just seeing things different. Like the Yakuza at Nagai Industries, I never really put that together. I was like, dude, these guys are straight Yakuza. Like, never really thought of it that way. So I was thinking of 3 and what I would want in 3, and I would just want like more ways to solve problems. So there's like a part kind of early on where, you know, Ryu gets kind of scammed. And I was thinking in my brain, like, I hope in 3 you can solve something like this multiple ways. Like, like this scam goes down. Let me go tell the Yakuza that like some operation is going down on their turf. See how they handle it. Like, let me call maybe Fukusan or Tom and like bring them in on the situation. Like, let me call the cops. Like, so it'd be cool if like 3 just expanded on that.
Right.
I think the game does. One thing I really like about it is like the random like moments that take place when I'm just walking around like a cutscene, like some dude's just trying to fight me out of nowhere or protecting like Nozomi, was that her name? Like at the park and stuff like that. Kind of stuff I just kind of like stumble upon. I'm sure there's like a sequence of events that triggers all that, but as I'm just playing through it naturally, it feels like more natural, especially at the time that game came out.
You guys been taking care of the cat?
So I was actually just going to bring up the cat. Something that I think kind of speaks to Brad's point, but I also appreciate is I feel like now in video games when you're developing relationships with characters or with things, it is very numerical. It is like, do this thing, increase this meter with this character, give them this gift, and it will build up this bar. Obviously Persona, but there are a bunch of games where it is kind of like this very mathematical, like, I like this character, let me pump up their stats. And I feel like in Shenmue, like with the cat specifically, it's like, I want to go feed this cat. Oh, it's sleeping. This is just a creature that will sleep sometimes, and I can't feed it now.
Yeah.
I don't know what kid is going to be there next to the cat. And I like that. Like, yes, it's kind of a pain in the ass, but I like that it doesn't feel like quite as mathematical.
As artificial, yeah.
Yeah.
Where you
Feels
can just,
real.
Where you feel
Yeah.
like you can't just plan it all out easily.
I do want to talk about the voice acting.
Yeah.
Specifically the English voice acting. We heard some of the Japanese voice acting during the group stream, but the English voice acting, it's like this double-edged sword for me, where most of it is really bad.
Yeah.
But in a way that's super charming.
Yes.
Endearing.
Yeah,
dude.
it is. It is. It's endearing. It's hilarious. There are things like, especially like the very quick lines that some of the characters will say.
Hey!
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
stuff like that.
They're hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're just so, and the way it's recorded, I think, plays into that too.
Yeah, it's like someone on just a tape recorder
Right,
was
it is.
saying,
It's
"All
like
right,
they're
lines."
like talking into a can. Yeah, it doesn't sound very good. And while I enjoy that, and it is extremely endearing, as you said, it is hard to take it seriously. Like, when you do have the moments that are supposed to be dramatic or Rio's supposed to be a badass, it's just also kind of funny. And we'll see if I feel that way by the end of the game. But just so far, the scenes that I've encountered, the delivery just doesn't sell it,
Yeah.
I think, in the way that they're going for.
Oh, I switched to Japanese after like an hour.
Sure.
I agree. It's like hilarious to me, the English VO.
Yeah.
I'm more familiar with the VO from going through it with you, like on stream. So like I understand the charm of all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But like for me, I'm just like, let's try
I, like,
Japanese. It feels a
never-
little more authentic to me.
I like never really make fun of it
Right.
because I like grew up with it, so
course.
it's
Sure.
so different. I can't
But
for,
even
objectively like really
Especially
analyze
for the
it.
guy who's always like creators of 10.
Yeah, exactly,
Japanese.
right? Exactly.
Yeah.
But this time, because I'm just so emotionally attached and invested, like
Right.
my first playthrough, I'm like, dude, I'm just sticking
I mean,
with the English.
that's your
I
Rio.
know it's worse.
That's who, that's Rio to you. So I understand it.
yeah.
I mean, based on the little bit of the Japanese that we heard during the group stream, it definitely felt a little bit more serious, but then it's like, well, if I switch to the Japanese VO, I miss out on like some golden moments, and so
Exactly,
it's kind of hard to figure out
Pros
what
and
the best
cons.
approach is.
Have you met his friend at the harbor?
I just got there. Like I took the bus there.
Yo, Rio.
I think I kind of remember that guy from when I played with you, but
Okay.
I just got there. Took the bus.
Cool.
I'm just really appreciative of a game
Yeah,
that,
dude.
like,
You don't like that? Waiting for the bus?
No, I mean the bus didn't take that long though.
you
Like,
were like
I
waiting
felt like
for the
I was
bus,
waiting
man?
for like a half an hour for one thing though. Where like the story was picking up, dude,
Yeah.
and I was feeling it.
You're like, let's go.
Yeah, I was like, let's get that. Let's get
Yeah.
some answers, dude. And it's just like, I'm like, okay, all right, okay.
You talk all the time about re-releases, Huber, and to me, like, Shenmue 1 and 2 HD is really speaking to everything that you've said for years, where it's like, this was a game that, like, I tried to appreciate when I was very young, couldn't all the way, and so it's nice to have this very convenient way of going back and checking it out, and I think a bunch of people are checking out Shenmue for the
Me.
first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially
It's
because
amazing.
of you and
Yeah.
how much you've pumped it up. So.
Yeah, I'm doing it for you, dude.
Thank you.
Doing the adventure out of respect for Michael Huber.
I've read a lot of
Huber's
awesome,
definitely an influence, yeah.
awesome
Yeah.
tweets about it.
Yeah.
It's been really good
I mean, it's like
vibes.
if things like as long as I've known Huber and how much he loves Shenmue, when something like this happens, you got to do it.
Yeah, the thing for me is it's not just like a novelty, and it's not just like, oh, I want to understand Huber better. It's not just that. Like, removed from all of that,
Historical.
I'm legitimately enjoying the experience on its own.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a bizarre game, and I say that as like a really high point of praise, that the complaints that I have with it are not kind of like tanking how special it is in a lot of ways. And it's one of those games for me right now where it's like, there still isn't anything completely like this. And I really value those experiences when they do come.
Yeah, it's
Shenmue
like
3,
it's like
baby.
a moment in time for me.
Yeah.
As someone who missed all like the Dreamcast, so this is like something cool for me because I never got to experience it.
Some Yakuza origins.
Yeah, you definitely tell.
Speaking of Yakuza, you've been playing Yakuza Kiwami 2.
So slowly. I'm so sorry, allies, for lagging.
outside of Easy Living, I've just been playing Dragon Quest, so
Yeah.
I haven't been able to play Yakuza Kiwami 2.
Long games.
Yeah, long games. Not because I'm not interested. I'm really interested, and Easy Living made me even more interested than I was earlier. But how is it? How is Kiwami 2, especially compared to Kiwami 1?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yakuza 2 was always my least favorite. The PS2 version of Yakuza 2. It just felt like the story didn't grab me as much back then, and I can't even tell you specifics because it was so long ago. It's just the gut feelings that I had going through those games. You know, when they came out, it was like, oh, 2 is there has to be a weak link. Like 2 is kind of like that. It was kind of like maybe too big and sprawling and not as focused as 1.
Do you think it has anything to do with the change from the over the top dub in Yakuza 1 to the
Could have easily been.
We're gonna subtitle this
Yeah.
in Yakuza 2?
Could have easily been, yeah, maybe a disconnect there. And then, 3 after that had, PS3 and crazy graphics when 3 came out. It was like, whoa! So yeah, 2 had always been my least favorite. Had only played it through once. But now going back, I'm loving it. Obviously there's a lot of additions and changes to tie it in with 0 and Kiwami 1, which I really, really appreciate. There's a lot of connective tissue. But I think the biggest thing that stands out for me right now with Kiwami 2, and I loved this list even in the original, is the villain, Goda.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the strongest villains in the franchise. Not from like a deep, emotional, complex, like anime level, but just like, you're a really good rival to Kazuma. I really like you guys played through Kiwami 1, and like the villain is kind of in the shadows, and you don't, there's a lot of.
Well, what was weird about Kiwami 1 is 0 really recontextualized it, and I think gave the villain in that game a lot more oomph than it did in the PS2 version.
Totally. I agree. But yeah, I'm just really liking the villain, and you guys haven't gone through 6 yet, but my goodness, the new engine is so good. The visuals, the performance is rock solid.
Real quick, I want to get back to him being a good rival to Kiryu. What makes a good rival in a Yakuza game to you?
Like threatening power levels. He seems like a strong adversary. There is like a mutual respect there in a way. They respect each other's power levels.
Are there moments where he just kind of completely outclasses Kiryu in terms of power?
Like catches him off guard for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I don't want to get... But there's some really good stuff there.
Cool.
One of my favorite things from 6 actually was there was the bar that you could go to, and you could build relationships. And you could go to and then even in 0, right? Building the relationships and with the real estate and everything, sometimes you needed to like befriend other people. So in Kiwami 2, there's oh my God, you guys are so stoked. There's friendship heat actions.
Oh my God, yes, dude.
Okay? Let's just say ramen is involved.
Excellent.
We'll leave it at that. But some really hilarious, like, I don't know how they always manage to just one-up themselves with the ridiculousness, but they do. So.
Yeah, I'm all about that.
Yeah. So good. And you guys are going to be, because you didn't play 6, so like the graph, and you saw Kiwami 2 at the Easy Living, like visually, it's so gorgeous. It's so beautiful.
That Dragon Engine, man.
Yeah, the Dragon Engine, that's what it's called. It's absurd. I love it.
It's one of those things where when you've played a lot of Yakuza and then you transition over to that new engine, it's just like, wow, everything is smoother. It just... From just walking around the world feels better. And obviously you do a ton of that, so it's extremely important. And just the seamless transitions into battles, just how things look when you're hitting dudes, it is Very transformative, for
Yep,
sure.
and it has the 6 leveling system as well, where you have different
Yeah.
stats, and you can play mini games and eat to raise kind of the other attributes to encourage all of that. And I went through the same thing with 6 and even Kiwami of just the sub stories.
Yeah.
Just the way they're implemented, not only in the main storyline, but like you'll be going to do the main quest, and then some guy will be like, hey, I need your help. And it's like, I got to help this guy.
Yeah.
Or like someone will bump into you and be like, yo, you want to start some shit? Like,
Never back down.
all right,
dude.
let's go. Like,
Never back down, Cosmo.
yeah. So it's
Let's go.
it's just this constant loop of like main questing and side questing and mini games and food. It's just a really, really nice flow.
What I want to know is how are the new Majima chapters where you play as Majima? Because that's a big selling point for Kiwami 2.
I haven't done a lot. It's been pretty brief so far.
I see.
Not like
But
0 at all.
it's funny because my memory of 2, there was a big gap, and when that was announced, that Kiwami 2, I talked to you a little bit about it, Ben. That had me really excited.
Yeah.
because there is kind of a hole in there of what Majima's up to. So it is cool to like see
Sweet.
that. And then of course that kind of ties into sub stories and characters popping up.
But these chapters have been very brief when you've encountered them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty brief.
Brief but good. Brief
Yeah.
but I want more.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brief, but I want more.
Okay.
Always more Majima.
Yeah, absolutely.
Always.
Sometimes what I run into, like you were talking about how you experienced when it came out on PS2. That was a very long time ago. Sometimes with these updates, what I run into, where it's like, it has been so long since I've played the original version of this that it can be hard to differentiate what's new, what's old.
Right.
Do you run into any of that with Kiwami 2?
No, mostly with like 6 and Kiwami 1 kind of, and 0. It's been like a lot of Yakuza in the last couple years, so I'm trying to wrap my head around it.
Yeah.
I'm you all know I'm obsessed with lore. I'm obsessed with minor details in lore. I love to obsess about that stuff. So Yakuza can be kind of frustrating because there's 7 mainline games and countless sub stories. And they hold nothing back. You'll come to a sub story and it'll be like, hey, good to see you again. And it's like, oh, where did I see you? What exactly happened? So there's a lot of those moments of like callbacks, and it's hard to wrap my head around it all.
So Hubert, you've been talking how there's a lot of Yakuza in your life, and just this year there's been a lot of Yakuza in your life. For me, when I think about certain series that like I kind of really loved intensely at one point and then faded away from, I think of like Assassin's Creed or Call of Duty, where there was a point in my life where I absolutely adored them and was obsessed with them, but with each new entry I eventually kind of drifted away because I didn't feel like I was reaching the same highs that I originally had.
Yeah.
That hasn't happened to me with Yakuza, despite taking place in the same location with the same characters.
Yeah.
A lot of times, and admittedly very similar structures. I'm not burned out on it, and you keep playing them, so it doesn't seem like you're burned out.
Yeah.
What do you think it is about this series, and maybe Kiwami 2 in particular, that has you still excited?
Great question. I got burnt out actually after 3 a little bit. It was like my favorite thing, and then it took me a long time to play 4. Partly because it's like, wow, we just went through 3. It felt really nice. Like now we're playing as new characters, but you're also Cosma. It just took me a long time to get to 4.
3 was my first one.
Yeah.
I adored it. I think if I had played 3 later after some of the other ones, it definitely would have been my least favorite. There are things about 3 that I think so many of the other games do a lot better.
Yeah.
Than what that game does.
I think that's why, Ben, is just they've improved continually. I adored 5. Then 0 is one of the best. I love 6. Kiwami is an incredible remake that added really cool stuff like Majima everywhere. And now Kiwami 2 is like only the second game with the Dragon Engine, so it looks amazing. And it's like they're filling in so many holes and gaps. So I think it's a combination of continuing the story in a like engaging way, meaningful way, adding like new characters, I think was actually a really smart move. And then just going back to the beginning and just filling in all these dark spots and blanks and just making it all better.
Yeah.
So
you kind of already touched on it, but I think a big part of it is it's like, well, you can do a lot of things the same as long as the writing is there. And you've kind of talked about this increased quality in how they present the story. And I haven't played 6 yet, but 0, it was like, wow, this is like the best writing that you've had in a Yakuza game. And those sub-stories, like, they keep getting better and more involved. And really, at the end of the day, I think that's mostly what you want. You just want to care about these people. And if they can keep finding new ways to make you care...
Yeah.
Then let's keep going.
The game is so good at that. I did all of the pocket racing in Kiwami, and like the guy you're doing it with as you're like starting with him, I like grew super attached to like all those guys, and Majima gets involved with racing against you. So into the dumbest stuff, and it's so fun. Yes. God, I love it, dude. Those games have such strong characters that you can get easily attached to. Like, I'm stoked for the new character. I don't know anything about this guy.
Cool.
When I see him on the box, I'm like, whoa, this guy must be a big deal.
Yeah. Goda, dude.
Goda. Yeah, just from what I've heard from other Allies fans who are also very into Yakuza, is that's the thing that they point to is the villain. So I'm excited to see that myself.
Cool.
Yeah, before Game of the Year 2018, I'd really like to have 6 and Kiwami 2 done with. So
yeah, full disclosure, I did sub stories, but it honestly wasn't really until 5 that I became obsessed with them. And, you go from 5 and 0 and Kiwami, and I think their sub story game has just grown so much.
Dude, some of the taxi stuff in 5 is incredible. It's incredible. It's so good. Like, both, the taxi stuff kind of fits the two sides of Yakuza, the completely super dumb Yakuza and the extremely serious, this is a vehicle we're using to advance the story. It like fits within both of those extremely well.
Love it.
Yeah. Anyway, some more Yakuza. The world is still blessed with good stuff.
Yeah.
Good to hear.
I wonder what's going to happen, because we heard about the online one or something, and then like the spin-off with that new character. Who knows, if we're going to get a 7 or just a Yakuza : blank or a reboot, or who knows what the future is.
Well, Huber, I think we're actually going to do this a little bit early because you asked,
said the word.
Oh, no.
You asked the perfect question. You didn't really say the word. But we're going to be doing something new for Caught in a Frame Trap today. And that is going to be, instead of doing a game, we're going to do a little bonus HOTTAKE.
Oh.
So it's not going to be as serious as the main HOTTAKE, but there was a little bit of news that I thought might be fun to chew on.
Yakuza news?
Not exactly.
I know what it is. Okay.
But related within that
Okay.
sphere.
Yes.
Yeah. And I thought it'd be very fun to talk about, specifically with this panel. So we'll do that. But before we get into it, Caught in a Frame Trap is always brought to you by some wonderful sponsors. So we're going to talk about them today. Our first sponsor is Dale Sun. Thank you, Dale Sun.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dale.
Our next sponsor is Jesse Vitelli. You can find him on Twitch at Justifer and on Twitter at Jesse Vitelli. Our next sponsor is Xotig. After Xotig, we've got JoJo's Dent Co. After JoJo's Dent Co., we have Ohyescoolgreat. Next up, we have Blue. Thank you, Blue. And we have a brand new sponsor, Alex AI, and Alex AI has a pretty charming message for all of us. He says, Alex AI, strategy RPG enthusiast, looking for a jolly cast and even jollier town music? Play Shining Force 2 and support the Allies.
Shining Force looks awesome.
I haven't played those,
Yeah. Has Ben played Shining Force? I bet he
I've
has.
played, yeah. So my experience with Shining Force, there was
course he
this,
has.
there's this Dreamcast
Give us
game.
the lowdown, Ben.
Yeah.
There's this Dreamcast game that came with a bunch of Genesis games, and one of the games it had on there was it was like Ultimate. I don't remember what the name of the Dreamcast game was, but it had Shining Force 1 on there, and I had never played it up to that point. I didn't know anything about Shining Force, not a thing. Hadn't even heard of it before. Played Shining Force 1. I was like, this is amazing. The design, the charm, the sound, everything about it was really, really cool. I enjoyed the how they positioned the hero units and the warriors.
Sick.
And it was awesome. But I didn't have Shining Force 2 and have not played Shining Force 2, which I hear is superior to Shining Force 1 in every way. But I have not played that one yet.
I'll have to make a little room for a remaster in there. So
Yeah.
a little Shining Force remaster.
Yeah,
Let's go.
I was very impressed by Shining Force 1 a lot when I played it. And it was cool. Compilations, man. Compilations
Good stuff,
also
man, yeah.
allow
Yeah.
you to catch some things that you would have
Is there a
otherwise
Sega
missed.
Saturn one?
Sega Saturn compilation?
I have like missed every Sega Saturn game.
No,
I
they
don't
were kind of
play
doing
some.
this cool thing back last generation where they brought over like Radiant Silvergun and Guardian Heroes and some prime Sega Saturn games, but they didn't catch all of them.
Okay.
I too would be
Yeah,
very
missed, like,
interested
all
in
those
like
games, man.
Like I've never played Burning Rangers. I'd really like to play Burning Rangers.
Die Hard Arcade and Virtua Cop.
Die Hard Arcade's super fun.
Virtua Cop is awesome.
Bring it back.
Virtua Cop is very, very good
Yeah.
and underappreciated.
Was that Yu Suzuki too?
Yep.
Cool.
We also have a mega sponsor, very long time sponsor of the show, Greg the TheDarkKnight Kettering, being a mega sponsor. So thank you, Greg, for your support. All right, so here's the bonus Hotake for today.
Bonus.
All right, so Toshihiro Nagoshi, Chief Creative Officer for Sega and the creator of the Yakuza series, as well as he's been involved in a lot of things, but
Is that the
just
tan
for the
dude?
sake of yes.
Nice. Love that guy.
You know who we're talking
hell
about.
yeah.
Yeah, Toshihiro Nagoshi teased a new announcement that is coming within the next month. So he said, this is all from Gematsu, by the way. Thank you, Gematsu, for this information. So he says, and I quote from Gematsu, the next Sega Nama broadcast after Tokyo Game Show will be a big one. We'll discuss topics no one is going to expect. The only hint that I can say is that it is something truly different. It is a new title announcement that will turn things upside down.
What in the world?
It's been about 3 years since the planning phase of this project.
Whoa.
So I just wanted to kind of poke you at what you would want, what you would hope for. Before I realized that it was a new thing, which is very clearly stated, I was like, wait, is he going to do something like a new Virtua Fighter, or is he going to bring back a lot of things? But no, completely new thing. Not what we expect. Hyping it up, giving it a lot of... Maybe, who knows, maybe overhyping it up, I don't know. But
Yakuza Battle Royale.
do you think
I
it'll be
would play
Yakuza?
that,
Do you think it'll be
dude.
Yakuza related?
I mean, are the words new IP stated? Can we read it one more time, Ben?
Yes, it is a new title announcement that will turn things
New
upside down.
title announcement.
The language, yes, the language basically very much makes it seem that it is not Yakuza related. He even talks like, hey, Yakuza stuff usually happens before TGS. This will happen after TGS. This is a new thing. This will surprise people. This is not something that you would expect.
Okay. So I originally thought it was going to be a new IP, but new title makes me think like it could be a comeback or a spin on something.
Yeah, it could be reviving something for sure. I do, just again, based on the language, and I wish I had the whole thing pulled up in front of me. I don't. But I'm very much leaning towards this is a brand new thing.
Okay.
Like he also did Binary Domain.
I love
I know.
Yes.
And that's actually something I wanted to talk to you about, and I think why I developed such a deep burning love of Sega is because of how weird Sega was.
Yeah.
You know, like Sega was doing things that you just couldn't get anywhere else. And
Dreamcast especially felt like.
to give credit to Nintendo also gets very, very weird, but it was that that weirdness with some edge to it, I think, with Sega that I appreciated so much.
Weirdness with some edge.
With some
I
edge,
like that.
yeah, or perceived edge, I guess, or marketed edge, but even still.
Geez, that is quite a statement to unwrap. Turning something upside down. Like, what does that even mean? My mind immediately goes to like online. I feel like turning things upside down in a single player game. I
makes me think of Knights, something like that. Because like I remember like there was stuff upside down in that game, right? When you fly around. Maybe he's dropping little hintaroonies. I don't know.
We are in the prime era of relaunches and reboots and comebacks, Brad. Knights is an incredible call.
Didn't it have a comeback on Wii though.
It did have
comeback.
Brush that aside. It doesn't really count. I know nothing about it. I'm just kidding.
I just immediately thought of like Phantasy Star Online too, something like that. He's like, we're taking over. It's no longer online. And It's like an RPG again, like the old ones.
Obviously, this is all the wildest speculation. Wow. Don't put any stock in this. We're just having fun here.
Mm-hmm. Crazy Taxi.
You have seen. It feels like companies are being looser with what can show up where.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you think that maybe there could be some sort of crazy crossover here, or like, hey, we're working with characters that don't immediately fall under the Sega umbrella?
I wish, but the Bouncer 2. They just make the Bouncer 2, dude. They got experience.
I have not played it since it came out, but I really liked the Bouncer a lot. I'm not saying it's a good game.
For the stream?
Years ago.
You weren't there for the stream? You had to have been.
I probably was.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't remember that. I mean, like, but I like played and loved the Bouncer.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
I should revisit the Bouncer.
Yeah. Dude, when we streamed
My
it
memories
held
are
up.
there.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Phantasy Star, though. I'm just gonna
just
believe
Phantasy Star.
putting all my
Not
emotions
Do you think that? I mean, I would love that. I would lose my mind.
Yeah, he would.
But
Yeah, you would.
do you think that would really be the like? No one's expecting this will turn things upside down.
Yeah, because again, I go to online because you can get so crazy with it.
Right.
The possibilities are endless. You can. Some new type. That's all the buzzwords now. A new type of online live. What is the word again? Live service. A new type of online live service with Phantasy Star. So. I think something online related.
What do you want though? Like,
I want Phantasy Star for you, Ben.
Okay.
Number one.
Fantasy
Straight
Star
up.
Online 3 for me.
Now that,
that'd be great.
Now that Streets of Rage 4 has been announced, Phantasy Star Online, 100%.
Cool.
Or just Phantasy Star in general.
I would also really like some more Jet Set Radio, but...
Yeah, me too.
Just because I think there's so much they could do now.
Yeah, them, yeah.
Yeah.
Heat actions while grinding. A heat action spray, dude. Man. Yeah, you're stoked.
Dude,
you're
why
thinking about it.
have we not done top 10 heat actions? Let's go. We need to do that.
Do you think there's any chance?
Have the bike on
there. They did the Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise game, where it basically took Yakuza and applied it to a different series. Do you think they could keep going that direction, but it could just be like some crazy series?
Sure. I don't see why not.
I don't think for this. I think this is,
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
I'm taking their hype saying, and the fact that it's after TGS, they're planting this crazy of a seed this far out. Like, this is getting me hyped up. When is this stream, dude? We'll be here.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anytime.
After Tokyo Game Show.
Yeah.
It will be a big one.
I'm ready.
It's exciting though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because you think about Yakuza, and obviously they did Binary Domain in that time as well, which was also weird as hell and amazing in so many ways.
That's where I remember the 7 coming from.
So it's a
That's like what I remember.
It's in the golden pantheon of swimming in sevens.
Yeah.
Like,
it is a must play
swimming in sevens. Yes.
Like, put that on the box, like give it a red border.
Yeah, that's
just,
like the
must
first
play.
time.
Wreath things.
Yeah, I think that's the first time I remember you saying like emphasizing a 7.
You remember Binary Domain? You could give commands via your voice for no reason. Yeah, binary domain is weird. I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but some of those story points are just like off the wall insane.
Yes.
Yeah. Boy, we should do a full playthrough of binary domain. That'd be good.
That would be so much fun.
Really good. Yeah, I guess that's the point I want to emphasize. Like, it's kind of not a specific thing to latch onto, but that's the whole reason. Is just when I think of Sega at their best, they're at their weirdest, they're at their most off the wall, they're at their most risk-taking and I want to see something like that. I want something that I don't know I want. I just want you to give me a trailer and I'm like, wow, I don't know exactly what this is, but I want it. That's how I want to feel.
Yeah.
That's how Sega has made me feel in the past and how I want to feel again, I think.
Is this event, Ben, going to be just this game reveal or others as well? Do we even know anything about that?
I don't know. I just know that it will be after Tokyo Game Show.
Cool.
It'll be a big deal.
Cool.
It's going to blow our socks off.
Cool.
Now, you have to keep in mind that, like, the guy whose job this is to get you excited about it is saying all these things.
For sure.
Right. This isn't some outside source, but even so.
Numerous times PR people have come out. Numerous times PR people have come out and said, like, you got to be ready for this announcement.
Right.
And it's nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
So, for sure.
But still, excited to think about.
Yeah.
Potentially
Yeah.
very cool. Little bonus HOTTAKE. All right.
What would you want to see, but before we end it, what would you want to
go
see Yakuza crossover with, if it could cross over with one thing?
I think Brad nailed it. Like, JoJo just makes so much sense. It really
Like
does.
they get stands.
Yeah.
All of them get stands.
Yeah.
Dude,
It just makes so much
Yeah,
sense.
it'd be awesome.
Are there, like, portals in JoJo where they could, like, enter a portal and come to Yakuza Land, or no?
I mean, there's definitely, yes, there's a lot of, like,
Dimensional time.
I don't know if I even need a crossover, really. I don't even know if I need Kiryu-chan. I just give me a JoJo game
Yeah.
Nice.
with that engine and those mechanics.
Cool.
For sure. Like, JoJo heat actions would be incredible.
Oh my god.
Yeah. It'd be great.
I mean, he already kind of does that.
Right. All right, Brad.
Yes.
So last episode we talked a lot. Damiani and Huber specifically talked a lot about World of Warcraft Battle for Azeroth, which you have been playing a lot of. I think.
Yes, I have.
What do you? I want to loop Huber in too,
nice.
but what do you think overall?
Good. A lot of the additions, like I've done pretty much all the main dungeons now. Really fun dungeons, dude.
Nice.
The Manor, Cuber.
I haven't even done one yet.
Slacking, dude.
I know, I'm
The
like
Haunted
114.
Mansion,
Dude.
total Huber style. It's cool because you can kind of go like different ways through it. So you go like, oh, I want to get this boss first, then I'll go this way to get this boss, going through the halls like that. Then you go down the cellar, Huber. Yeah. Yeah, you're so in, dude. There's like a temple, like a snake temple Huber with like Super Mario Brother, like stuff to dodge like lightning bolts. Whoa. I was like, whoa, yeah. Like little like mix-ups here and there, which is really cool like that.
Nice.
So they've added a lot of stuff, a lot of the pre-patch stuff. You've done some of this here, the war mode now.
Yeah.
So there are no more PvP servers, Ben. It's gone.
Yep.
So you can toggle now if you want to be like in a world PvP or you're not. So if you want to level and not get ganked or whatever, if you just want to super chill, you can turn it off. But if you have it on, you get bonuses like 10% or 15% bonus XP. You get more stuff from quests. With this, they added one of my favorite things, which are called assassins. So if you kill a bunch of people in World PvP, you will get marked as an assassin. You will get bonus, I think it's 15 damage and 15 healing, but everyone can see on the map the other faction. Now, I got this yesterday for the first time.
Nice.
There's a sick little thing tied to it. If you get 10 kills while you're marked, you get a sweet title. Me and Kristen both had it, dude. Killed 10 people, you get Alliance Slayer as your title. I was like, oh, feels good.
Why would you ever
real
change
good.
that title?
Yeah,
That's the
it's locked.
title you
it's
want
locked for
forever.
life.
Yeah.
One of the newer additions they added is called Island Expeditions. I don't know if you've done any of these yet either here. So they're pretty much 3-person events where they'll dump you on an island. You're like the big theme of the expansion is collecting Azerite, which is this like this mineral from Earth. It's like the planet's blood or something like that. Anyways, it gives you like a lot of power. So a lot of the game is about getting Azerite. It's kind of like the artifact weapons. You remember you're collecting Azerite again to level up your armor. I'll get to that later. But anyways, these islands are 3v3. So you can either do this against you fight other players in a team of 3, or you could fight against the computer who plays like AI characters. So you go around this island, you collect Azeroth, and you just want to kind of win at the end. You can run into each other, fight. You get rewards by doing this, obviously, like that. It's cool. You can buy stuff like a currency, like a little siege tank I bought yesterday.
Nice.
Going around shooting stuff like that. They're okay. They do get kind of repetitive. There's a bunch of islands.
The devs were really hyping up the AI of those guys.
It's like whatever.
Okay.
I haven't done the hardest rank yet. There's normal, heroic, and mythic. I haven't done mythic yet. I've done heroic, and they're not that hard. But like you gotta keep going. You can't dick around too much. You'll get killed. The coolest part is like being able to do PvP against actual other players. It's like a 3v3 battleground. It kind of reminds me of. Pretty fun. Gets boring after you do it like 7 times. You're like, okay, I've seen it done.
Dang.
It's okay. The war campaign they added is like the story, like a story kind of element thing, where like when you get certain rep or a certain level, you unlock new areas. It's like usually going to. Sorry, let me dial back. Horde and Alliance have their own areas they start at. The Zandalar and Koltaros. Like Zandalar is like jungle, very troll, like with trolls, desert, and everything. It's Horde zone. Alliance Koltaros is like a lot of lakes, mountains, kind of stuff. Really more jolly stuff we kind of expect. So your war campaign is you going to the other territory and kind of like carving a path of like conquering certain areas. You get outposts, stuff like that. It unlocks as you do more. It's a locked kind of rep grind at a point though. So you're going to be grinding for rep a lot.
Is it better or worse? What the hell was that place in Legion, dude? The purple place with like the dome.
Oh, dude, the
Solidar or something.
Yeah.
Is it better than that?
Yeah, because it's not like you don't have to wear a disguise and get brought out. It's just like a zone. It's just a zone.
Okay.
You're just in the enemy zone, so it's cool. It adds a little sense of danger every time you're there.
Okay.
Especially in war zone or like war mode on. It's good. A lot of stuff's not in the game yet. The raid's not in, I think, till Tuesday in the war fronts, which is like, I think they described it as like kind of like Warcraft 3 kind of thing. Like it's a PvE event, Ben. You're working with people, but it's like you're getting resources and stuff like that. There's like units, I guess, like that. I don't know. It's not out yet. I haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
So far, it seems pretty good. They added like the global cooldown. I'm sure you heard about all that. People complain about it. Like it really slows down the flow of combat, which is kind of annoying. I wish they didn't do that, but still a lot to figure out. So far, pretty good. I think it's better than like a lot of the other expansions so far, like way above Warlords of Draenor. I seem to be enjoying it more than Legion, what I remember.
Right off the bat, I've been enjoying it a lot.
Yeah, I think
more.
the zones are a lot better. I think the game does a good job of the quest feeling like you're discovering a lot of the quests instead of just leading you exactly at every point, like go here, go here, go here. Like there's some of that, but you'll find a lot more just kind of out there as you're exploring.
Is it something where you kind of get pointed in a direction and that direction just leads you to a bunch of other stuff?
Oftentimes, but there's definitely stuff out there. You're like, oh, what's this? This is cool.
So you kind of have to take it upon yourself to just go and check out interesting
the game
stuff.
encourages you by they added chests in Legion. Those are back that you could find just exploring stuff like that. So it gives you an incentive to explore. So I think it's like the zones so far have been pretty good. I've been pretty happy with all the zones, especially there's 6 new ones, and they're all very distinct and feel unique.
Cool. From a storytelling perspective, there's obviously been a lot of attention paid to kind of this climactic moment, the tension between the two sides. We talked a lot about that last time with Huber. How is that stuff as you are getting through it and seeing the entirety of the story?
I've gone through a lot of the stuff. Like a lot of the stuff was building up with Sylvanas,
right?
Kind of the pre-expansion thing, and she's been pretty much absent the entire time so far.
Saving it up for the raid.
Yeah, like whatever they're doing, like all of that's just been kind of off the board. You're just going through these new lands and kind of gathering allies with either the Horde, the Zandalari Trolls, or if you're Alliance, the Koltaros kind of thing like that. There's definitely the theme. They've been sticking really well with the theme of the battle for Azeroth, like PvP, Horde versus Alliance is heavily emphasized in this expansion, which I think is great.
Yeah.
I think they were trying to go for the Warcraft 2 kind of feeling they were talking about before. All that's really great, but like, you know, it's an MMO, they're going to space a lot of stuff out yet. So it's hard for me to get a whole, like, the game's going to be different in a year from now from when I play it right now. But so far, so good. I wish there was a little more kind of stuff they left off on Like Sourfang, you see just briefly at the beginning. And I haven't seen him since. Anything like that hasn't been anything like that yet. So I'm waiting for more.
Nice.
Yeah, this is not just a WoW problem. I've encountered this with other MMOs, but I think like with WoW, when you, especially pre-release, hype up not just an area or not just a group of people, but a specific conflict, it can be a little frustrating sometimes where you go into the zone and it's like, yeah, we'll get there, but you have to do this stuff that maybe is like kind of related at best. Like you really just kind of get swept up in minor stories.
Every zone usually has its own kind of story thing going for it. But the same, like I wish I could get more and more, but they gotta space it out there.
Sure.
I mean, it's just the way MMOs go.
Holding it off for the slow casuals like me.
Oh yeah, I mean,
thanks Blizzard.
You got plenty.
Huber, you've
got some time.
You've been swept away by other work-related things.
Absolutely.
How badly have you missed Battle for Azeroth?
I think about it almost every day in the shower.
Almost specifically in the shower.
Specifically in the shower, you know.
Tell me about that process.
Like washing my hair.
You're like, oh man.
Like, oh, still 114.
My
like,
Orc
oh.
Warrior.
I'm like, oh man, I bet Brad's got like all the raid gear already.
Raid's out.
Oh, but it's not out yet. So, oh man, at least I got rest. You know, I'm logged out of that inn. Like, man, I'm still not even fully done with the first zone yet because I like to do every quest in a zone before I move on.
Yeah.
So,
You
got a long way to go.
get rewarded for doing that too, Huber.
Nice.
How many series do you think of per day?
Probably way too many to count.
Series?
Just
Well,
like
like franchise?
an IP.
Like,
Too many.
how often is Half-Life?
Dude, like a year ago, I told you guys, maybe I said it on here. Like, it's the last year I've been like,
You've let it go.
It's therapy.
we got Shenmue, man. I'm good. I don't need Half-Life anymore.
Sure.
One cool thing I want to bring up, this is for you here especially, is so the dungeon, there's 2 dungeons that are mythic only. And you cannot queue up for like a group necessarily as easily that finds your group automatically. You have to go out of your way to build a group.
Love this stuff.
I haven't gotten to do them yet, but I need to do these.
That's all it
I
takes.
need you out there, allies. I need help.
That's all it takes, man. I love even like Destiny or something when there's just 1 or 2 incredibly hard and difficult things to do above everything else. I love that.
Yeah, it requires some sort of communication and socializing with players.
Victory. That's good.
Yeah. So,
have you done Arena or Battlegrounds? What's up with that?
I've done a little Battlegrounds. They added some new stuff in the pre-patch, so there's like a new Battleground, which is fun. I really like it. You like, it reminds me of like Battle Royale style Huber, because there's points on the map like Azeroth that you guys fight over. So you start in airships, both of you.
Parachute in?
You jump out and you can like rocket in a direction in the air and then parachute down and then grab stuff.
That sounds
too.
really
So
fun.
it's really cool. I really like it. But I don't think Arena's started yet this season.
Okay.
So a lot of stuff they're just rolling out slowly.
Cool.
So I'll see more when the raid comes out and the Warfronts.
Cool.
So we'll see.
Very cool.
You're enjoying it more than you remember enjoying Legion and
Yes.
Warlords of Draenor for sure. Has this kind of just like restored your love of World of Warcraft? Has it increased it? Or do you feel like once you're kind of done with Battle for Azeroth, you'll be good until the next one? Like,
That's
where
usually
are you
my
at?
cycle with WoW or just MMOs in general. I'll play for like a month or 2 after that. When I just get kind of tired of doing it, if there's nothing new I want to do, I'll just leave until they add something I want to do.
Yeah.
Right now, there's enough for me to do still that I enjoy keep doing it, but I'm sure I'll hit a point.
Sure.
But right now, it's still good.
Nice.
Cool. Well, I look more forward to more complete thoughts as you get through it. I have been playing pretty much one thing outside of
The best thing.
a few instances. So last time I talked about Dragon Quest XI, I've played a lot more Dragon Quest XI. I've seen a very, very variable, sizable chunk.
Yo, let me.
Yeah.
Okay. So from Dragon Quest, before that it was Octopath. How many hours was that? That was like 100.
It was roughly 100 hours.
There was like another huge one in there you did. Maybe I'm thinking of Xenoblade, but that was kind of a while ago.
Well, I was very behind on the Divinity Original Sin 2 review.
That's another
that
like
was
100.
like I think there was like 80. I could be wrong on that, but it was a lot of hours.
That game's long.
I feel like
It was
it's
like
been
60 to 80, something like that.
I
It
feel
was
like
a lot of hours.
I feel like you've been playing a different 100-hour game for like a year.
And I was really worried about that, where I'm like, am I just going to get burned out? And I'm really not, because all of them have been like varying degrees of good. Like Dragon Quest XI is very, very good. I have not finished the game yet, so you should know I'm 60 hours in to Dragon Quest XI right now. But I feel like with that time I've spent and where I'm at in things, I can say pretty confidently that if you've been looking forward to this, if you've enjoyed Dragon Quest before, or if you're excited for this being your first Dragon Quest, like in any of those camps, you're in for a good time. I feel really confident.
Great. Good news.
About the quality of this. And we talked a lot about kind of the basic stuff last episode. But what I want to get into, and I specifically avoided a lot of critical discussion about Dragon Quest XI, obviously because I don't want it to taint my experience. But with Dragon Quest, I feel like a lot of times you hear, oh, it's very traditional. This is RPGs as you remember them. And like there's valid reasons for why people are saying that. That's totally true in many, many ways. But what has really surprised me about Dragon Quest XI is how convenient and smooth it is to play because of how they designed it. Like, very immediately, you get your horse, and you can just... There's so many places in the world where you can just call it, and that's super obvious. You get a spell that allows you to fast travel, and there's so many fast travel points. And in other Dragon Quest games, when you would try to cast Zoom and you were indoors, you would you'd hit the ceiling. Yeah, so now they're just like, no, it's fine, just go. And there are a lot of camps in the world, which we talked about before, where you can go and you can get all of your HP back and you don't have to spend any money. And they're usually in a dungeon even. You can go and rest up and heal up. And other Dragon Quest games have had this as well, of course, but you can also set your entire party to just fight automatically and use their pet powers automatically. And so if you just know you're going to win and don't want to go through the, like, okay, let me pick this specific spell, you can just be like, everybody use your strongest things, let's keep moving on ahead. And while none of these things is that remarkable or worth showering in praise on its own, taken all together, all these little touches really add up to a lot. Usually, when I've put this much time into an RPG, there are things that are really starting to aggravate me. And I feel like in Dragon Quest XI, they thought about all of that stuff. You really don't need to grind. You don't need to waste your time just sitting there getting stronger than bosses in order to beat them. But that doesn't mean bosses aren't interesting. They are constantly doing new things to you that put you in a slightly different situation, or they'll change the parameters of battle to just shove you out of your comfort zone just a little bit. And I think all of those things make for a pretty remarkable and very smooth experience overall. And there's a lot to do, man. Like, we talk about, like, Jones talked about how much he enjoyed the Octopath towns, but I felt so many of them just kind of felt the same. And like when you would in Octopath, when you go and you'd buy stuff, you didn't go into the shop. It would just be a window where you could see, here you can go in. There might be a chest behind the shopkeeper where you can go and get a mini medal. And
baby,
yeah. There's just so much warmth. And again, these are things that aren't necessarily new to Dragon Quest,
right? But
they just kind of reaffirm how good this stuff is. And man, those writable monsters, like the areas that you're going through, none of these secrets are mind-blowing. There's been nothing where it's like, okay, this was so well hidden, I had to like think about it for minutes in order to solve it. But there are just moments where it's like, wait, I can't get up there. If I go all the way down to the bottom of the staircase, kill this dragon, get on the dragon, ride it up, I can go in there and, there's a new recipe book for me to go to camp to go forge all these things that are going to be stronger than anything I could buy. Cool. I mean, not necessarily, but there are times where you'll get recipes where it's like, this is better than like the current shop that I'm at.
Great.
So.
You're 60 hours in.
Yeah, I'm 60 hours in.
How's your wallet?
The wallet, yeah, so you talked about the economy before. And my wallet has been tried, for sure. And what I mean by that is I'm not like absolutely broke, but there'll be times now, 60 hours into the game, where I don't have the materials I need to make what I want. And so I'll go and I'll buy stuff. And I'll be like, man, I've got 56,000 gold. I went and I upgraded everybody's equipment, and now I have 3,000. Okay. So it's like I am spending a lot of money, but it's not like so penny pinching that.
But you got to think about it. It's in the back of your mind a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like an intense point of consideration. Yeah. It's not like, oh God, do I buy this at the cost of this? I mean, sometimes you get a little bit of that, but it's definitely like, oh no, like if I go and I upgrade people, I'm gonna feel it.
Cool.
For sure. And last time I talked about worrying that the character progression would be a little bit too straightforward, and that ends up not being the case. You level up at a good enough clip, and they expand the amount of things that you can learn to where it actually becomes pretty addicting, where it's like, okay, like I want them here. I'm building them in this way. If I go in this tree, do I really need this stuff? And so it gets more complex and more interesting as it goes on. And the other thing is, depending on where you take your characters, so all these different characters, like you might have somebody that can learn swords or great swords or like staves or something. It's just they get a multitude of things to choose. But depending on which path you take them down, they can learn certain pet powers, your ultimate attacks. And yes, you want these because they tend to be pretty powerful or inflict a status ailment or heal you or power you up somehow. But they also just keep getting increasingly awesome. Like, they started really, really cool, and I talked about, like, how on a basic level, when you enter your pepped up state, it's like a Dragon Ball move. They get so over the top and ridiculous and awesome and just really fun, really well detailed, really flashy moves where it's like, I've been with this person for hours and hours and hours, and we get a new pep unite move that is like, it'll just put a big smile on your face. Nice. And so that has been really satisfying. And so you want these pep powers, not just how useful they are, but because of how fun they make them. It's sort of like maybe an example that a lot of people will be able to appreciate, like getting a new summon in Final Fantasy. Like, you just want to see what this looks like on that level. So it's really good. We talked a little bit about some of the technical hiccups and the music, and I do want to touch back upon that a little bit.
Playing on Pro, right?
I'm playing on Pro. So the music, I mentioned last time how it could be a little bit jarring. What I recommend to everybody is the game just has the music too loud. So like, go into the menu. I have that mine at like 3. Turn that down, balance it out, and it'll be better. At least it was better for me.
Yeah.
But there have been some tracks, especially some of the more intentionally like melancholic, like slower, emotional, stirring tracks. Man, they've really blown me away. Like, there have been times where I've stopped and been like, wow, I just want to hear this track play out because of how effective it is. And so I get that, like, it's disappointing for people that it's MIDI, that it's lower quality, it's not orchestral. But I still think some of the compositions, especially later on, really shine through in spite of that.
Do you think there's any backdoor shady deals going on, Ben, with like they're going to have a new version of this game? Do you think that is a possibility down the line?
I don't know. The whole music thing is really weird because for our review, we can't use the music with the gameplay capture. Like, we either have to use other free music or we have to do picture-in-picture. Like,
they won't, world?
Here, I'm trying to explain it the best way because Blood's going to get mad. But, like, I want it to be accurate. We can't, like, edit it up.
Okay.
So if you want music, it has to be like continuous.
Okay.
Which is very weird.
Yeah.
Because normally, if you're playing music from the game, like, you can use it how you want for the review. You can have gameplay and then the music underneath that.
Yeah.
They're being really weird about it, and they're like and so if you go and you watch, because we were trying to figure it out, like, what did other reviews do? And it's like, okay, well, listening to a few seconds of this, IGN's clearly not using the music. GameSpot's clearly not
Yeah.
using the music, and so that's why, because they have these weird stipulations with it that I don't understand.
Very
doesn't
strange.
make any sense.
Do we know why it's
so-
MIDI? Why the music is?
No, I don't know.
No reason? Because I got the collector's edition. It comes with an orchestrated soundtrack of
Right.
it. So I'm
right.
just like, wait,
so they
what?
have that music.
Yeah, I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
What?
What if there'll be like a DLC option? Because what was the game that they added? Was it Persona maybe or something? There was like a Japanese pack. Was that Persona?
For what?
Like the VO.
yeah, the
the
Japanese,
VO.
Yeah.
the Japanese collector's edition. Yeah.
Yeah, you can like download. So I wonder if they'll do something like that, or I don't know.
Well, it's
Such
just
a weird.
It's just really weird.
It's just
And
it's just weird. That's why I'm harking on it because it's just
Yeah,
weird. Like it
it
doesn't
is.
bother me that
It's-
it's MIDI. I would prefer orchestral, but the whole situation is just weird.
It is. It's very weird, and I get it. Like I think it is a fair thing to bring up. Totally, and I'm with people on that, but I also think like don't let it bother you so much that you don't give it a chance because there are, like I said, there have definitely been moments where I think the composition of the music has really shown through and impressed me and really added to the scene.
Nice.
I don't think it's something where it's like constantly taking away from every moment, especially if you do give it some time to get used to it and give it a chance. I really don't think it's like
Give it a chance.
that bad. Although there has been this weird technical thing that hasn't been rampant or whatever, but I think people should be made aware of it. And so there are times where you'll like fast travel to a place or you'll be running through a town and your character will just freeze and it will just be like loading, like the game hasn't gotten to the point where you want to be yet, and so you'll just completely freeze and you'll have to wait for it. Doesn't take that long. It's just a few moments.
Yep.
But it has happened to me pretty consistently in mostly the same spots, and you will be going back to places a lot. And so it's something to be aware of that does happen. I want to talk not specifically about the story, but kind of my attitude towards the story, because I think it's been pretty impressive. And so another very typical Dragon Quest thing, and really a typical JRPG thing, is as you would expect, you're traveling around the world, you're getting involved with mini narratives that are specific to that locale, you're meeting with temporary characters and trying to solve their problems in the moment, eventually building up to some big grand thing. That is how the game starts out. And I was really surprised. Not all of them hit me, but a couple of them were extremely emotional and really well done, and a lot. I don't know if dark. I think darker is maybe a cheap word to use here, but they took the idea farther than I expected them to.
Nice.
And just being really invested for a short period of time. But what I was worried about is the characters that I was getting. They weren't going in depth with them. It was like, hey, I'm here. I'll help you with this thing. I am this type of personality. And it was like, welcome to the party. I was a little bit worried that they wouldn't be as fleshed out as I would hope they would be. But the game kind of loops back around on itself in a really cool way.
How many are there? Party members?
How many characters? I'd have to count them out.
6 or 7? Or...
Yeah, I mean, if I go through, I can tell you.
But it's more than 4.
Yes, there's more than 4.
Yeah.
There's more than 4 characters.
Cool.
I don't want to like get into the party too
Do you have
much
to like
for fear of spoilers.
swap in and out? You've been doing that a lot?
There are several moments where your party will be specifically limited or you'll be forced into with somebody else. But there's a lot of times where it's just like, who do you want in your party?
Cool.
If
they're on the bench,
yeah.
do they get XP?
They do. They do get XP.
Full XP?
Yeah, they've been getting full XP. Cool. So that has been nice. And part of that is because they do kind of force you into certain situations so much. And so when you get paired up with somebody or something unexpected happens, it's not like, oh my God, this
This
guy
level
is,
5 and I'm level
this guy is
50
10 levels below
Yeah.
my main dude.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
But like I said, the game kind of loops back around on itself, and they give each character their time to shine in ways that I wasn't expecting. Sometimes it'll just be like, hey, we're going to dive more into this specific character's backstory, or you're going to realize they're way more important to the main quest than you initially thought.
Nice.
And I was worried about the main quest. It's very, you are a chosen one. You have to defeat this kind of big bad evil. But they flesh that out and give some very specific scenes to that kind of typical quest in ways that I appreciated. Again, it's not crazy. It's not going to maybe blow your mind, but they do go out of their way to try to make you care about it, to try to make it personal.
Nice.
And so I have to commend them for that.
Sick.
The storytelling is not perfect. I'm at a point right now where we're trying to collect some very important items to do something very important. And it's like the first 2 items I got were pretty straightforward. It was just like, here, go get these things. And then the third one, it's like, go get this thing and get looped into this story that really has nothing to do with what you're involved in. And it's not bad. It's a fine story, but it is just like kind of dragging out this thing that the other 2 parts didn't really drag out. And so... it's long. There are pivots. It is not a quick, concise story, nor is it meant to be. But again, I feel extremely firm in saying that like this is a fantastic game.
Excellent.
So
Good to hear.
Speaking our language.
Really good to hear, man.
And you just hunting those mini metals and hearing that sound is pretty fun. Yeah. So, okay, sorry, that was a lot of me. Just getting all that out there, but I had a lot to say.
Absolutely.
As people who have enjoyed Dragon Quest before quite a bit, do you have any questions? Do you have any concerns?
No, I think you nailed it all. I just definitely can't wait to get my hands on it. I'm not nervous, but like Ni no Kuni 2 kind of burned me.
Sure, yeah.
I was so hyped for Ni no Kuni 2. Damiani loves it. Gave it a really positive, good score.
Right.
But I personally didn't really stick with me or hit me from a gameplay or an emotional storytelling point. So I
think Ben had that.
Meager.
We all kind of had that same issue, but it seems like Ben doesn't have that as much as Dragon Quest.
Yeah, we talked about the difficulty last time, and it is not a hard game.
Right.
There are things that you can do when you create a new save file if you want to make them harder, things you can toggle. That I haven't messed around with yet, but hope to mess around with before the review is published. But like we said last time, to me it's not really about constantly being hard. It's about having fights that engage you in some way. And I really do think pretty often they are mixing up fights in pretty cool, pretty creative ways where, like, you'll be able to get through it. You might definitely be able to get through it on your first try, but it's not like you're just sitting back and doing what you always did. It was like, no, you're making me think about this. You're making me take a step back just enough to make the fight memorable and exciting. Ni no Kuni got
pretty mindless.
Yeah.
Pretty quick.
I do think in terms of like monsters in the field, it is pretty mindless. Like, it is pretty much just like, hey, get through this. There are some Dragon Quest touches that help with that sometimes. Occasionally you'll get desperate attacks where the monster will just do a bunch of damage to you out of nowhere. That'll push back. But for the most part,
pretty smooth sailing.
It's pretty smooth sailing. There might be some times where you'll have to, worry about your MP a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to run into like 10 skeletons at one time. Just be like, oh god.
Yeah, reinforcements.
I think for me though, and again this talks about the convenience thing, I'm way okay with that. If I have to spend an entire RPG where like every fight, and if there are so many fights, is a slog, like by the time I get to 30-40 hours, like I'm really exhausted. And again, speaking to Dragon Quest, there are a bunch of little touches where it's really easy to avoid monsters on the map. If you don't want to fight, you do not have to fight. You have enough space and enough speed to get around pretty much anything in that game. Also, when you open your menu, it's very easy to just heal everybody all at once. There's like handy heal all, where it's like heal everybody in the most efficient way possible. And so you'll get through a fight, you'll heal everybody, and you move on. And again, like, there's just this very strong sense of this game carrying this momentum, and so you want to play. You're not getting exhausted. You're not getting burned out. That I think is really smart.
Great.
Of them to do. So, yeah, I'm excited for you. I hate these situations. Like, I want you guys to play it. And,
we're
thoughts.
we're very excited.
But, yeah.
Next
all I've been doing.
Next
It's
time
all
all
I'll
three
be
of us
doing.
are on, you guys will have finished Shenmue, and we'll have finished Dragon Quest. We'll all have a powwow.
Hopefully.
Yeah, right.
I hope I'll have finished Shenmue, but we'll see. We'll see.
It's not too long. It's like 15 hours.
Huber,
Yeah.
talk to me about the final season of The Walking Dead.
Yeah,
The video
dude.
game.
I'm gonna stream this too, Alice. I'm writing a lot of checks today with streams.
Yeah. We can cash them.
Really briefly, not going to talk about the plot. Well, I can talk about the plot in a non-spoilery way. So we're back as Clementine. This is the final game now, finally, of the Telltale engine, dude. They're hanging it up. Final one. New engine coming next. Thank the heavens. But I'm extremely impressed with the first chapter. Season 3, New Frontier, was kind of a slog for me. It wasn't bad. It just didn't have a lot of high notes. It wasn't great. It wasn't memorable. Nothing to really get attached to. Just going through the motions. I'm already so attached to Clementine, and now even more so because it's a few years later. AJ from season 3 is grown up. She's caring for him, and there's a lot of those moments, these teachable moments between Clementine and AJ, and you kind of get to decide what wisdom you want to part onto him, which is really great. There's new combat mechanics, so it's not just really quick time events now. You can actually move and attack. You can go up to a zombie and do the old Lee trick of the crack the kneecap, knife in the skull. There's some other really cool moments too when you're in the forest and all these zombies are coming and you have to trigger traps, and that's kind of all in real time. So there's just a lot more gameplay to it, which is nice. Yeah, and I'm just really attached to the story now. It's again just loose details, not getting into super specifics. You come across basically an orphanage run by kids. So we're in the Walking Dead universe, but you find this group of survivors that's basically all teenagers and young adults. And, I feel like that's going to expand. There's only 4 episodes this time around, which is really nice. So I feel like they're just a little more meaty, there's not as much filler.
Yeah.
You can interact with all of these characters. Like when the episode ended, it was like, here's how every single one of these characters feels about you. It was a little not as much in episode 1, but I see that getting fleshed out down the line. And like any good, Walking Dead episode, there's a lot of surprises, a lot of shocks. And I'm just so invested in Clementine and AJ right now. So really, really strong positive feelings so far. 1 episode down, 3 to go. Feeling good about it.
So, and we're 1 episode down, 3 to go.
Yep.
It's hard for me in this specific situation where I played season 1, pretty much loved the whole thing. And then season 2, it was this huge up and down where this episode was great, this episode was what?
Yeah.
And just this really rocky relationship. And then I played a little bit of the 3rd season.
Yeah.
Thought it was okay.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the thing for me is it's like, well, with this episodic release that has been inconsistent.
Very.
It's like, do I go through the effort to catch up and then play it episode by episode? Do I wait and see what you say once the final season is wrapped up?
What's really nice is, of course, your save carries over, which is so awesome. Of course it carries over, but it makes it really nice. I fiddled around with it. It makes it really nice if you're just jumping in. And if you've played season 3 in the recap, pretty much not even there really, It was going through these huge moments of what did Clementine do here? Nearly every moment was season 1 and 2. So
that's really weird.
Yeah. There were some, and of course there's some callbacks to season 3, and of course AJ is a huge part of season 4 now, and he was kind of brought up in season 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't recommend obviously jumping in. I mean, it's the final season of this whole big thing, but you could probably just jump in. I don't know. If I come back to you and I say it's amazing, you've got to play it.
I don't want to over dramatize it because going through season 3 is not this huge task, right? It doesn't take that long to do.
Yeah, they're short.
But I think it's more just, and this isn't necessarily fair, but I just got to a point where I was like, I just don't really care about Telltale stuff anymore. It just wasn't thrilling me enough to really want to make that effort. But what you're saying, where it's like, hey, not just they're trying to tell a good story, but they're trying to make it more mechanically interesting, more technically proficient as well. That's really encouraging.
Yeah, like, I thought the Michonne chapters were really cool. That was like a 3-chapter thing. They did some cool, just like really good gore and stuff,
I think that's also part of the problem is there's just so much.
There's a lot. Michonne's thing really felt like on an island. I don't know if that's even going to tie in at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I've been up here so many times talking about Telltale games, and you use the word inconsistent, which is so true, and technically a mess half the time, But Batman Season 2, going from that, which is maybe my favorite season of a Telltale series, Batman Season 2, and now this, like, feeling good about it. Feeling good with the storytelling. Feel good about the performance. They've ironed it out. I've been up here complaining about it so many times. Like, Batman Season 1 was a train wreck, and Game of Thrones had so many problems. Just so many problems. But hopefully a strong end to a strong character, Clementine hype.
Right.
That's why I'm so committed, Like, if this was the final season and we were playing as a new character or someone else, I would be way less inclined to finish the fight. But the fact that it's Clementine, an older Clementine, she's still young, but she's older now, is just, they got me.
And it's hard not to be curious about this character specifically, right? Yeah.
So. Lastly, what's really nice too is they laid out the release dates of all of them, which I don't think they had done before, or they rarely do. Like,
well, that would be another thing that they'd be super inconsistent about.
Yes, they'd be like, oh,
and it would kind of trample on the momentum of the season.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now it's all laid out.
Good.
Don't have to wait too long. It's like a month and a half or a month between each episode.
Yeah, as long as they're clear about it, then that's fine.
Yeah.
Cool.
And you get like your own little room at the orphanage to like get collectibles and stuff.
Yeah. Always fun.
So, good stuff.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Let's talk about The Messenger.
Yes.
Last night was like, I've been looking forward to The Messenger so much, I'm just going to play a little bit.
I did the exact same thing.
I played a lot more than I was intending to. Played a few hours. I don't know how long. Like 2, 3?
Oh, you're way farther than me.
Yeah.
I'm on like the second boss.
It's great.
Yeah.
Like, at least so far, it's like better than I was expecting. Really, really, really good. Brad, have you played any of The Messenger?
No, I watched Mike play a little bit. Looks very Ninja Gaiden, so I'm way down.
I mean, extremely...
Yeah, he was like doing the wall hang stuff.
Yes.
It's like exactly the same.
NES Ninja Gaiden. Anyway, Huber, what are your first thoughts on it?
Loving it. We're in this renaissance right now. These Metroidvania side scrollers. Like, but what I like about this is that it doesn't feel Metroidvania yet. It's more like, oh, okay, it's gonna blow up.
So it starts out. I was thinking because the hook
out
of
like
this
Shovel
game,
Knight,
the hook of this game is that it is both an 18-bit game and a 16-bit game, and you will be able to switch between them. I thought, based on the trailer, that this would happen right away or like pretty quick. It does not.
Okay.
I was playing for several hours, and I've just gotten to the point now where it is a 16-bit game.
Cool.
And my understanding, so it starts out as a pretty straightforward action platformer, as you would expect from something that was inspired by NES Ninja Gaiden. But then now, at the point that I've just gotten to, it becomes a Metroidvania game where it's a little bit more open. You have a map that you can use to explore, that kind of thing.
I'm just loving it because I've always liked these types of games, but I've never been the one screaming from the rooftops. Like Symphony of the Night, I loved, but never really beat it until like many years later. Like, I'm not an expert on the genre at all, but this batch of games right now, I'm loving. And The Messenger now is another high bar in this like 2-month time of
Right.
these types of games. What got me was the music, of course.
Yeah,
Love the
music
music.
is phenomenal.
Just love how tight the controls are. Love that there's a skill tree in this. I'm super into that. I'm okay with the like meta talking and like the meta dialogue of like, oh, that's too much text for small chat window. Like they call stuff out like that.
Don't play Guacamelee 2 then.
Yeah,
So-
I'm okay. I'm okay with that stuff. It's
Yeah.
not my favorite, but I love demons. I love
Yeah.
I love demon invasions.
Yeah.
I love ninjas.
I want to jump in
That's a quote.
because that was something that I was worried about too. I was like, okay, they're being a little bit too cute here. This is gonna get old. I definitely started out that way, but the more involved that you get, I actually think it gets beyond surface level.
Cool.
They do some things. They have some tricks. They have some jokes. They have some methods that I found like legitimately pretty cute, pretty clever.
Cool.
If that stuff turns you off initially, give it some time. Let it develop.
The shopkeeper stories are so random,
Yes.
but like really good.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
what are we talking about? But I'm like so invested
I
in
was
it.
definitely won over by it in the end. And because the thing for me is I was like, I'm just going to keep playing until it becomes 16-bit. And that takes a long time. But because it does take such a long time and the game gets hard quick.
Okay.
It gets hard
Yeah,
quick.
I got to the second boss and I died a couple times. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, here
Yeah.
we go. Here we go.
It keeps spiking up.
Okay.
It gets pretty hard.
Cool.
But once you do reach that moment where kind of everything changes, it's amazing. And the only reason like I'm saying this at all is because like that was how they had pushed this thing in the beginning. But once you hit that moment, it's very, very good, and it just controls super well. It doesn't so far have like a ton of mechanics. There is an upgrade tree. It's not super complex, but you get like shuriken that you can throw that is managed by a meter. You get this grappling hook where you can zip on a whole bunch of stuff and you actually get an attack, and so you can like bounce on things. I love the very basic mechanic that when you hit something for a period of time, that's what allows you to double jump.
Love
so you
that
don't
mechanic.
you don't double jump on your own.
Yeah.
You have to hit something, and the level design and the enemies are structured in such a way where it's like, oh, well, let me hit their projectiles and use that to get across this area.
Sweet.
And so that feels really, really good. It does, like, you have to think about it. You have to be like, hit, jump, hit, jump. But once you get better at it, it feels really, really good. So
Yeah.
loving
it.
I adore it. Like,
More,
I really adore it. Yeah.
Chasm got like middle of the road reviews, middle to positive. Chasm's a lot simpler, you know? You just kind of go through and hit things and they die.
Yeah, so
which
far,
is really
I'm
nice.
curious to see how they handle the Metroidvania part of it, but yeah.
Which is nice and soothing. And then you have Dead Cells, which is like you have your isolated runs. This now seems like it's just going to be that intense white knuckle
Yeah.
the whole way through, which is slightly intimidating but also exciting.
Yeah, but it's white knuckle in a way where, like, it's not just Ninja Gaiden. Like, we talked about the shopkeeper, but even how they handle death is really interesting, because it's not like you have a limited number of lives or you just go back to a checkpoint. You do go back to checkpoints that you unlock as you go through. But there's this little demon who is also pretty damn funny that when you die, what he'll do is he'll stick around for a while.
Yeah, I was like, go away, dude.
Right. And he'll eat your currency that you use to level up. And so that's kind of how you value out your punishment.
That's what it
Yeah. So he'll stick around and he'll get full, and then once he's like, okay, we're even, he'll go away. And so
okay.
you'll be getting a bunch of currency and you're like, oh, I wish I could use this to get this new ability, and you can't.
Nice.
And so they make it a character. Which I really love, that ends up making fun of you, and he's like, hey, pro tip, avoid the spikes. Like, he'll really lambast you for your deaths, and he'll tell you how many times you've died or like how much of this stuff that he's eaten. So
I'm nervous. I'm gonna die a lot.
yeah. It was funny because like at first I was like, oh, okay, like this is, challenging, but we're gonna be able to get through this. I definitely hit a point where it's like, oh no, this is hard. Like this is a tough challenge.
Make sure to play Guacamelee too, Huber.
100% on the list.
Yeah.
Huber syndrome.
It's very good.
Huber syndrome, dude. Be ready. 2 weeks.
There's too much shit. What do we do? There's too much shit. I really want to play I loved Guacamelee 1, and it's
Dude,
like, I don't know when I'm going to get to this.
Super chill playtime.
Yeah.
Pumped. Play Chasm, guys. Don't let Chasm slip through the cracks.
Yeah, so I actually
Chasm
did,
is
I
sick.
did play a few more hours of Chasm, and I
Nice.
got to this puzzle.
Love that puzzle because you can't look it up. Boom.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
I have to like go around and find
Yep.
which of the room, because I don't know which rooms they are, and so I'll have to figure it out. But
Love
that is
that.
where I'm at in Chasm. So
Yes. Yeah, it's random.
I'd like to
it's
finish it.
randomized.
yeah.
So you can't just.
I mean, as long as it's a cool puzzle.
you just have
fine.
to explore. That's the point of the game.
Yeah.
You gotta explore and get to the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm with you on the like, hey, you can't just, cheap your way through this. I respect that. But it is a little bit annoying where it's like, okay, I know I've been in these rooms, but at the time I first came through them, I didn't know this was important. And so
Fair.
I wish, I don't know. It's just like, okay, well, let me just wander around until I find it. Like, it doesn't really feel like I'm solving it. I'm just kind of going in every single room to try to remember which one it was.
I think I liked it because it was like, it finally pushed back. Chasm's
yeah.
like pretty easy.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's finally like, okay, finally the game is like giving me something to like,
Yeah.
some kind of challenge.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would like to finish Chasm 2. Last time I said like, oh man, I think I'm going to play all of Death's Gambit. I don't know if I'm going to play all of
I know. I've heard
Death's
such.
Gambit.
I've heard like
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
bad things.
Brad, you put
it's
more
not
time
bad.
into it. Yeah, I think
good,
that's the
but
thing.
yeah.
It's not bad. Death's Gambit is definitely not
it's not
bad,
bad at
and I
all.
enjoyed what I played of it. But we live in a time of too many riches.
Yeah.
We got
Yeah, for
Dragon
sure.
Quest XI to get
You gotta
through.
pick.
Yeah. We got Yakuza Kiwami 2 to get through. A game I do think you should make time for, and I'm really glad Brad did, is Celeste.
Yeah.
Oh, look at Brad. Playing
Made
a
the
little
time. Made the time.
Celeste.
A game that I played through and talked about on Frame Trap, but wish I gave more love than I did because of how phenomenal it is. And you seem to agree with that opinion.
Yeah, it was really good. Huber, so if you don't know, it's kind of like,
Super Meat Boy?
yes, pretty much. So I didn't play a lot of Super Meat Boy, so this is very, it reminded, like, Guacamelee has a lot of stuff like this, so pretty much you're just going through, like, I really love games like this where you just go through, like, a room, and it's just kind of like a puzzle going through there.
How many saw blades?
Oh.
Saw blade? I don't know if there's like saw blades really, but there's like stuff like that, like that play the role. I don't know if it's an actual saw blade though. But the game I think throws in like a lot of cool mechanics that constantly surprise you. Like a lot of the levels I feel like have like a theme kind of. Like the hotel level. I think it's like the second level, Ben, you're going through. It has like the ghost kind of specter things in it and stuff like that. Yeah, the levels, I can't remember all the levels now because it's been a couple weeks, but like every time I'd go through a new level, the game would kind of throw something new at me. So it would keep me on my toes. There's definitely a story going throughout the game too, which is really cool. It's about this girl. What's her name again?
Celeste.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it Celeste? Okay, it's like about her. I couldn't remember, but it's about her like kind of like.
I'm almost. You're making me doubt myself
Yeah.
on something that I feel like I
is
knew.
it that easy? Yeah, it probably is. But anyways, you're going on this.
I'll
whole
double
point
check,
of this.
but I'm pretty
The whole
sure
point of
it's
this game is she's climbing this mountain. It like for like a purpose for some reason. Like she's kind of finding herself as she's going through all this kind of stuff.
No. It's not.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it. Okay. Celeste follows a young woman named Madeline
There we
as
go,
she attempts
Madeline.
to climb the titular Celeste Mountain.
Yeah, Celeste Mountain. That's it.
Boy, like. I played through the story of Celeste. You think I would remember the main character's name?
It just
Too many names
It just
these
like
days,
got
dude.
lost to me. Yeah,
Yeah.
same thing. But it's
Celeste
super
Mountain.
fun. The game's always throwing crazy obstacles. The only complaint I have with this game, well, maybe not, but like one that stuck out to me the most is I felt like some levels would just go on for too long, a little too long. I felt like because the game is so like demanding of you,
Yeah.
especially as it gets later on, like paying attention, being in the zone all the time, I would just get kind of like, when is this gonna end? when's this gonna, like, I really, really liked it, but I was like, I'm ready for this to end kind of feeling like that. Like, it's all really great how they do it all, but I just got kind of exhausted as I was going through it.
Okay.
Super recommend it though, Hero. I think you'd really like the game.
Is it long?
No, it's not too long.
It's not that long. I do agree with Brad though, and I ended up having a very similar experience where it's a hard game, and when you get through a level, like, you really feel it.
Yeah, you're like,
and I've heard that, like, doing everything else, like going out of your way to get all the strawberries, doing the B-sides, that's like some of the best stuff. But by the time I had finished the story of Celeste, I was like,
yeah, there's like a post-game stuff too.
I'm gonna put this down. This really took a lot of effort to get through, which isn't always a bad thing. I think just when it is extremely difficult, like
constantly
platforming, I gotta move my thumbs around a whole bunch. Like, I just needed to separate myself from it. So I did. I do want to emphasize the story though. I really like, if we do have a story of the year category, I think I would definitely put Celeste up there. It ended up being a lot more personal.
It's a very personal,
and introspective than I was expecting.
Conversations are usually just between like one other person, like real personal. Madeline just kind of finding herself and like
that gets
life
me
experience.
hyped.
You kind of learn about her life as you're going through the game.
Yeah,
it's really great.
Dude,
I apologize to everyone for thinking the character's name is Celeste.
that was me just trolling.
No, it's okay.
I put it in.
Okay, you made me think. I'm like, is it Celeste?
Yeah, it happens.
Power of persuasion.
But no, it is really good. It's
Check it
something
out.
I'd like to
Not too long.
revisit before we have Game of the Year discussions.
Really fun. Yeah.
IGN gave it a
along with-
10, right?
Yeah, and like,
10 out of 10.
I get it. Like,
Jeez.
I think
could see where they're coming from for sure.
Cool.
we
Wow.
talked so much about all of these great games and what you should make time for, and we I feel like we recommend pretty much everything on every Frame Trap. And so, I do think that takes away some of the power of a recommendation.
Yeah.
But I really, like, at least play through the story of Celeste.
Yeah.
At the very least.
When I played it, I had no idea what the game was.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was a game like this, so I was pleasantly surprised.
And it really does have both sides of the coin. Like, I took just as much from the story as I did the insanely great level design and challenge and platforming. Like, there really is a ton of creativity in
variety,
these
yeah.
levels. Yeah.
Yeah, you had me at Hotel and Ghosts.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Check it out.
I definitely think it's a must play of the year for sure. For sure.
Add it to the list.
Add to the list. Yeah, yeah, I know. We should have a if you have time list and like a
Mandatory.
must play.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see if Messenger ends up on that must play list. But it's very good. The last thing I want to talk about, my secret little addiction. It hasn't been like Hearthstone levels of bad, but it's probably been the closest
God.
to that since the height of my Hearthstone days. Is I've been loving the hell out of the Magic the Gathering Arena closed beta. I have enjoyed Magic the Gathering for a long time, but while there have been good digital Magic the Gathering games in a post Hearthstone world, they did a lot of things that would annoy me. Like even Duels, the one before Arena, like it was just too slow and too cumbersome. And that's not what Magic the Gathering Arena is. It is so snappy and fast, and games are quick, and it has that responsiveness, that cleanness that you need in a really good card game UI. Like, you look at everything, all the mechanics have symbols, they're very simply, concisely explained, and there are a lot of mechanics in Magic, for sure. But even somebody who's like always kind of appreciated Magic from a casual perspective and needed some reminding about certain things, it just does all of that for you. And it has a simple tutorial to get you in. And it just does things that you would want this game to do. It will, like, if you don't have anything to do in either of your main phases, it will just skip that and let it be the other person's turn. It automates a lot of this stuff to the point where you just feel like you're having quick, fun, easy games, which I really like. But more importantly, how generous Magic the Gathering Arena
So
is.
generous.
So I am no stranger to spending money in card games. Haven't spent a dime, one, because it's closed beta and they're going to do another wipe even though they would refund you for your money. But just how generous it is.
Yeah.
So you get a ton of decks pretty much out the gate. And they're not just like some trash tier, I will never win with this. Like, they're pretty solid decks that, one, are fun to play on their own. Will give you a bunch of different types. Do you want to play aggressive pirates? Do you want to play like more of a blue-black control?
I want to play this right now, Ben.
Like, because I'm somebody where it takes me a long time to feel confident in building decks, and so it's nice where it's like, holy cow, like you're giving me a lot, like more than a small handful, like quite a few decks of so many different types of play styles that I can play and keep things interesting. So that is great. You just get those decks, you have them. But there are other things that I think it does that are really smart as well. The way that it does goals. So you'll have like a big weekly goal, you'll have a daily goal, but then you'll have like, hey, for 15 wins, we'll keep giving you something. We'll give you a little bit of gold, we'll give you a card, we'll give you something. And so it always feels like there's something to chase after. Whereas when you compare it to something like Hearthstone, it's like, okay, you have these 3 things, you might get done with them right away. You don't really have that much to work toward. Whereas I feel like the way that Magic the Gathering Arena structures out its goals, like for at least the first 15 wins of the day, like I have at least a little bit of something to fight for, which I like. The other thing that it does is how it handles tokens. So as you open packs, you will occasionally get these tokens of different rarities, and you'll also, as you open packs, be building up to earning tokens of different rarities, and that's how you make cards. And like I said, they're very generous. I got a lot of packs for nothing pretty easily, and I had a bunch of tokens where it was like, hey, this if I want this mythic card, I can just make it. If I want this rare card, I can just make it. And I had a pretty sizable pool that I was able to make a couple of very competitively viable decks, which I really, really liked. And unlike something like Hearthstone, where you have just like this dust, everything's coming from the same resource, it's like, no, my mythic tokens are separate from my rare tokens.
I like that.
Right? So it's like, hey, if I need to make this rare card, it's not taking away from my mythics.
That's good.
And so it seems really, really generous. Also, drafts, right? So you can do drafts. They're doing like core 2019 drafts right now, where you can either pay gold, which is the currency that you earn in the game, or you can spend gems, which you have to buy. But what's great about these drafts is any cards that you pick for your drafts, you get to keep, bro.
Awesome.
You get a keep, bro?
You get to keep.
Is it you do draft with other players?
You're not drafting with other players.
Okay,
so,
okay.
Well, it's like you open a pack.
Got it.
You pick.
Okay.
And yeah, it's been hard for me coming from like Hearthstone Arena, where you don't have to worry about land, where it's like, oh wait, like I also need to make sure that I'm getting land for these drafts. But it is nice that you get to keep the cards, and even if you lose, and there are some sharks out there, or at least what feel like to me is sharks, you still get some reward just for participating.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I don't really play card games.
Yeah.
Not really my jam. But one thing I loved about Hearthstone was the presentation of Hearthstone. How does this stack up?
It is not like Hearthstone levels of presentation.
Okay.
But there's way more than I saw in any of the other Magic games, and I definitely dabbled with quite a few of those. There's a little bit of it. So, like, when you play a Planeswalker, they'll say something. They'll have a presence. When you play a big mythic creature, like, I would play this big dinosaur, and, like, a CG dinosaur would come out of the card and roar.
Cool.
You definitely get some of that. Again, it's not as comprehensive or as consistent as something like a Hearthstone, but it's way more than any of the other Magic games that I played had, and it's pretty good overall.
Nice,
I would say.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's really good. And like,
do you get the feeling they're gonna stick with this particular game? Seems like they do card games quite a bit. Like this is not their first rodeo in an online card game. Like how Blizzard or how Hearthstone is just Hearthstone, and there's just different like whatever expansions kind of thing like that. Do you think they'll have this card game, then they'll make a completely different one after, or do you feel like they'll stick with this for a while?
Well, that's kind of what they tried to do with Duels, where it was like, hey, we're not going to do a yearly Duels of the Planeswalkers game. We're going to have this. It's going to be living. The problem is that it just wasn't good enough, in my opinion, whereas this, they seem to be developing it in a way where they're really incorporating feedback quickly, and the base is so good and is getting such positive reception. Like, this is, if they wanted this to be their living platform, which they totally do, and they've talked about, they don't need to do another one after this.
Cool.
I think they finally hit
it.
the nail on the head with Arena. It's super fun. There's still a lot of work to do. There's still things that it needs to incorporate.
Is there a release window?
2018 is when but it's still in closed beta right now, so we'll see. But
I remember being in the beta for Gwent for like over a year, still not out yet. It's been like 2 years of beta, so.
Yeah, I do think when you have something like Magic, especially when there is this ongoing, physical card game, and you do, you still have Magic the Gathering online. I can understand why it would take some time, but very impressed with Arena.
Is there a campaign? A story thing? Okay.
There's not.
Did you
and
hear
that's something that Duels did have?
Did you hear about the Gwent thing?
No. Tell me about the Gwent.
So it was originally going to be like the story mode was going to be part of Gwent with like, RPG type choices and stuff. It's now going to be standalone.
Oh, God.
Whoa.
Breaking
pens.
Yep.
Getting excited.
You said standalone.
I just-
Standalone, dude.
I'm a fiddler,
Yeah.
and that cost me right there. Yeah.
30 hours, they said. Some 30-hour standalone RPG Gwent.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Crazy.
interesting because like Elder Scrolls Legends
Legends
has
cool.
a expansive story mode. Duels, Magic Duels had story, and like that's nice, especially when you're trying to learn. But I do get to a point where I just want to play real people.
Of course. Yeah.
So I don't know. It has been interesting though, like playing a lot of Arena and like getting to a point where it's like, okay, no, I know what people are doing. I know kind of what archetypes are out there. With any card game, you do reach a race to the bottom where it's like, no, this guy is just trying to like cheese out as much shit as possible and kill me as quickly as possible. You do run into that, and I think at a certain level you have to be okay with it. And then of course with Magic, you also run into like, I am just only drawing lands for 6 turns. That sucks. That's weird. Like you run into that stuff, but it's very, very good.
Cool.
I think Huber that
I
when
want
you
to
do get a chance, you should. Played Gwent, played Elder Scrolls Legends, played Duelist, played a little bit of Shadowverse, like messed around with all these things. Arena has definitely sunk its teeth into me more than any of them. It's been very fun. I think it has a bright future.
Has the best foundation. Magic.
Right.
Legendary.
And like you just get so many cool, weird decks in Magic. Not that you don't in other games, but I was running up against somebody where like their whole strategy was just to constantly destroy my land.
Oh
which, like,
God, I hate those decks.
Yes,
dude, leave
which,
my
like,
lands alone.
Wasn't fun. It was terrible. Wouldn't run into it all the time. But like coming off a bunch of like elf decks or
direct
hyper
damage,
aggro,
10 damage,
yeah,
5 damage.
It was like it was kind of fun and like a complicated. Somewhat complex setup that it was fun to see, but yeah, it's been fun. It's hard getting together with people to play Magic on a consistent basis.
Yeah,
so,
it's tough.
Yeah, this has filled a void in my heart.
So we got that samurai deck.
The white one?
Yeah.
I think it's somewhere.
Nice.
I've been running a very Huber-esque deck, red-green dinosaurs.
Yes,
That's
that's
cool,
exactly what I would use.
Yeah.
Red-green beasts.
It's
Big
been-
boy is my all-time favorite.
It's been super fun. Like this 12/12 that you can cheat out based on the power of your other creatures. Creatures where like when you damage them, they do something. It's just been big boys, like big hex-proof trample
Nice.
boys.
Yes, trample.
Yeah, it's been
Trample
fun.
boys.
It's been fun. And it's like a good, like, I'm learning the game again kind of deck, where it's like not super complex, but
Very
it's been
nice.
fun. It's been fun. We're about exactly 2 hours into the show, and my pen is broken.
Rip.
Do you know what that means? You do.
I do.
You know what it means. HOTTAKE!
Oh man.
So Hotake has been a thing that I've struggled with because like I kind of have a hard rule for Hotake where like I do want it to be hot. I do want it to be like an interesting discussion, but I don't want to hop on flavor of the week drama for the sake of it. Like I want to care about it. If we're going to talk about something, I want to have a vested interest, or at the very least think that you guys have a vested interest. And there is some flavor of the week drama that we're going to talk about today that I actually care about and I think is interesting.
Puddles?
No, it's not puddles. That whole thing seems like nonsense from the outside. I haven't done that much.
I was gonna be surprised.
Yeah, not puddles. Not what I want to talk about.
Good.
I want to talk about Soulcalibur VI because I care about Soulcalibur VI.
Nice.
Okay.
Because of what I've played of Soulcalibur 6 has been really good. There's been some controversy lately with a DLC character. So,
What?
are you not aware of this?
I'm not aware.
All right,
I'm not
so
aware.
I have a bunch of notes written down.
Cool.
So, Tira, character that was introduced in Soulcalibur 3 in 2005, will be a season pass bonus for Soulcalibur 6 and will also be purchasable by herself. The season pass, from what we know right now, will be $29.99. So you get the season pass. Not only will you get the other characters, you'll also get Tira. So the thing about Tira is she was also in 4 and 5. So they introduced her in 3, and it's like this is a character that you know that has been in these games. Now she's kind of locked behind
It's like a Goro
this DLC
situation.
wall. Okay? The thing that is weird is they had this trailer, this big unveiling for Tira, this DLC character, and then they had this new character as well, who's just going to be in the game, and they had this trailer after Tira. And so it's like the timing of it feels a little bit weird. You'd think you'd kind of save this for the end. You'd talk about all the other normal characters that are going to be in the roster first. The producer came out after all of this, hubbub of people being angry, and he said, "Hey, I'm getting this from DualShockers and Event Hubs, by the way. This is where my information is coming from. About Tira, having her in Soulcalibur 6, she needed some pretty complicated adjustments, so much so, she needed so many adjustments that she didn't nearly make the cut. After we announced Soulcalibur 6, a lot of fans asked for Tira, so I went to the development team and asked them to put her in the game. So that's why she isn't part of the main roster, and she's DLC. That's Okubo, the producer, who's saying that.
All right, it's done.
Well, kind of. So there's some other comparisons here. So like Eliza was a pre-order bonus for Tekken 7, another Bandai Namco published game. The thing about Eliza, though, is she had only previously been in Tekken Revolution, the free-to-play fighting game. So it's like I would argue not quite as ingrained into Tekken as other characters.
People are mad they're holding a more popular character behind the wall.
A little bit more primed. Another comparison that you can make is Dragon Ball FighterZ, which if you pre-ordered it, you got an early access unlock for Super Saiyan Blue, Goku, and Vegeta. However, you could also earn them in the game by doing different arcade modes on hard.
Got it.
So that's the difference there. Early access unlock as opposed to season pass bonus.
And you remember Goro?
What was the deal with
He's
Goro?
a pre-order bonus? Yeah.
Pre-order, you get
bonus.
Goro, or
Yeah,
you could buy him later for $5.
So that definitely kind of seems like what this is getting to. I didn't remember Goro, but just comparing it to recent Bandai Namco fighting games. And again, Soulcalibur 6 launches on October 19th, so we still got some time. What do you guys think about this? People are obviously upset. There are people who are like, hey, I'm main Tira. Now I got to buy a season pass on top of a $60 game to get her, or to get her on her own as DLC.
Yeah, do we know how much she is on her own?
I looked and I could not find how much she's going to be on her own.
It's like
that's a big deal.
That's a big deal, man.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm not saying that information isn't out there.
Yeah.
We just don't know at the moment.
I just don't know at the moment.
I mean, he gave like such an honest response. How could you be more honest? It's like he's the developer, he has to answer to executives and to suits, and games cost so much money to make.
Right.
Who knows how well Soulcalibur 6 is going to do? It's a huge series, should do well, but still. And he was so honest about it. Like, look, the only way we could get this character in is if we do it this way, because it clearly cost more money to put her in. She was a more expensive character to create than others. So in that sense, I feel for him and I feel for that, and it's a bummer, but I understand. Put your brand manager hat on, and it's just business. I get this upsets the people that main her. That fans, is a bummer, dude. If Soulcalibur is your game,
right, and
you main her, I would be very upset. But if it was the ability to spend, $5 or $6 to use her or not have her in the game at all, I would take the first option, $5 or $6
for
sure.
So,
yeah, I understand. It has been a long time since Soulcalibur V, and it does feel like kind of Soulcalibur is coming back in a way, both with how they're telling the story and just how long it's been. That's a thing to consider. Like, if you want Soulcalibur to rise and be successful and make people who have been waiting for so long happy, I think you have to consider how you present it. And I do think a lot of the complaint is not just how they're doing it, but how they're presenting it. Like, wait, how many characters are not DLC that we're still getting that you haven't announced yet? What are we getting in the season pass? What other characters are going to be there? It just feels weird and not as straightforward and transparent as it could be.
That's a problem, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like, I totally see player frustration. It feels like a catch-22 to me, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like that. I understand the developer coming out and saying that, but I understand the fans being upset,
right?
Especially if they're not being clear and upfront about everything.
Right.
Like, we don't know the whole story, obviously. But yeah, it's like, I feel for everyone out there, man.
And you think about, like, it would be kind of one thing, I think, if Soulcalibur was the only dog on the block, but it's like, hey, you just had Street Fighter V wrap up Season 3. You just had Tekken 7 announce Season 2, and there are already a ton of characters in that game. It's like, from a consumer perspective, I feel like you have so many fighting games to pay attention to right now that why pick this one at this moment where, especially maybe later on, you could get it cheaper.
Yeah,
or get, some sort of deal or whatever it's going to end up being. So.
Maybe they should have just eaten the cost and given her out, because there's so much competition.
Right. Do you think this matters, though? Do you think this will have an effect on Soulcalibur 6's bottom line?
I don't think.
Or is this just internet drama?
I feel like not in the huge scope of everything like that. I think it'll just be like whatever.
Yeah, I think
when it's out,
it'll blow over.
Yeah, I guess. But like, I think some longtime fans are gonna get like, it's gonna affect them. Feels like I could like totally see their perspective of feeling like upset about it. Like, I don't know if it'll stop people from buying it, but it might not put them in anyone's good graces with this. But I don't think it's going to hurt the game, like, if it does that bad.
Yeah, I mean, from a personal perspective, I'm not super invested in Tira, but I do understand that if she's a big reason, like, if this was Talum, right, like, I would...
Yeah, you'd be like,
I would
what?
be bothered. Like, I really want to play that character. It's annoying. But this... I think it is obvious, right, that a new fighting game, big budget fighting game, is going to have a season pass.
Yes.
That just seems like an inevitability. Is that okay if we accepted that? Is that just the cost of being a big fighting game in 2018?
Kind of the way they all are now.
I wish I knew how much it costs, but I mean, by the way he said it, that her animations and stuff cost more. Like, it costs money to make these new DLC characters. You got to charge for them. You can't just keep making all these free characters and just giving them away.
Yeah.
It's funny because like I'm sure the people that are yelling the loudest are the ones that main her, obviously. And they seem like diehard lifelong fans. Wouldn't they be committed to the max to Soulcalibur? Wouldn't they be buying the season pass anyway? Maybe that's like Bandai Namco's logic of just like, well, people that use her might be upset, but like, we're gonna give her away in the season pass, and like they're gonna be around at least for a season because they love Soulcalibur.
Sorry,
You should never assume,
I think
but
people feel like they don't want to feel like they're being taken advantage of. Kind of situation like that, like they're being nickel and dimed.
Yeah, I think that's the thing for me, where it's like, why are you extracting more from the people that care the most? I think from a very basic, like, I just want to play as Geralt level of Soulcalibur fan, I don't know if they care that much about Tira. I mean, I don't know. I'm just speculating here. But it's like, if I really care about Tira and I'm excited to play Tira, I think that indicates a level of familiarity and passion that it's like, this is just sucking for the people that care a lot,
The most.
right?
Yeah.
And
it's hurting them the most.
That's where
It was
gets
like
weird for
Goro.
me.
It was like Goro.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
dude, he's been one of my favorite characters since I was a child, and now that he's like behind some weird.
Yeah, like you don't want to hurt your hardcore fan base that keeps the game alive.
You'd think the easier sell would have been to have charged for Geralt. Like, yo, he's Geralt.
I've actually seen
a
people propose that.
Yeah, it's like a front door shady deal with CD Projekt Red, some weird
Right.
thing. He's a guest. Pay up if you want to be him. As for the classic characters
But then you have
and the Soulcalibur
like,
fans,
hey, you've never charged for guest characters before out.
Yeah.
yeah,
Right, you have a precedent that you're.
true,
Yeah,
forgot
maybe
about
it made like
Trying
a
to-
different guest character if they have a different one eventually, like DLC or something like that.
Just someone,
Yeah.
something's gotta give, So you gotta pay for someone in a perfect world. It would
Yeah.
all be free. Like, how does
Yeah.
CD Projekt Red has set such like an impossible bar with all like the free DLC and updates and everything they had done. But I mean,
Yeah.
even they charge for expansions. Like, those expansions weren't free. Like, extra stuff costs money to make, and we gotta pay.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is just that I really like Tekken 7, but Tekken 7 was such an interesting example because it took forever to come out after its arcade release, but it built up this really sizable roster. Akuma was a hype guest character that was not only included in the base game, but was incorporated into the story. And it's like, okay, the pre-order bonus, like, I don't know if, she feels that essential to Tekken. And then when you do DLC characters, they're things like Noctis, they're things like Geese. It's like really hype, exciting things.
Are there
for season 1.
Are there any pre-order bonuses for Soulcalibur? Any pre-order characters?
There are no pre-order specific characters. So
That's what
again,
they should have done. That's what they should have done then.
You think it should have been a pre-order bonus?
I think that's a solid middle ground. As gross as pre-order bonuses are, fans are gonna get the game. Just
Right.
put $1 down before you buy it, because you're gonna buy it anyway.
So you're
It's
arguing
not-
like these people are already going to get it day one. They're already going to
Yeah.
pre-order it. This is better than
You-
separating it out as a
as-
season pass bonus or standalone.
Exactly.
Okay.
And you're appeasing the suits because it looks corporate and grody. Like, yeah, pre-order bonus, you get her. Like, I feel like that would have been a solid middle ground.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not too late. I don't know.
I mean, we should acknowledge that it's still grody, but
Yeah.
from my perspective, that would kind of be the thought process I go through, where it's like, well, I'm gonna get it. I might as well
Yeah.
pre-order it anyway.
And then get her.
I'm getting a character, like, I'm not having to jump through any extra hoops.
Just got to go to the game store one extra time or whatever. Pre-order it
Or-
online.
Or online.
Yeah,
Exactly.
just
like
pre-order
that.
online.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I don't know. It's thinking about Goro though, and I think that is a good example that you bring up. So that was a pre-order bonus, right?
Pre-order. And then it was
And
$5.
I
$4.99.
remember a lot of people made a stink about this.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, how do you lock Goro,
Goro,
of all characters
dude.
behind a pre-order thing? There definitely was a huge,
Yeah.
well, not huge. There was some sort of outrage
Yes.
about it with Goro. But the thing is, when you look at the trajectory of Mortal Kombat 10, right? It didn't matter. Like, that game sold incredibly well, was incredibly well received, got super great reviews, had a long, healthy life. That just sort of seems like background noise now. And so my question is like, if the game is there, if there's a strong, healthy community, it's not super competitively out of whack. People are excited about it. They're enjoying queuing up for matches. They're enjoying the minute-to-minute gameplay. The fundamentals are there. Like, does this really matter?
I don't know. Depends on the sales of the game and stuff like
Yeah.
that. If it hurts them in their pocketbook, then it might matter.
Yeah.
I
If it doesn't.
I always go back to Overwatch and Fortnite, changing the game, cosmetics, Soulcalibur, creating characters, so many cosmetic items.
Yeah.
Maybe that would have been a better route to go with DLC and microtransactions, You can have your characters, but we're going to charge tooth and nail for, additional cosmetic items. Because time and time again, people will pay for that, Let me dress up as a clown in Soulcalibur for $5, and I'm sure a bunch of people are going to buy it. Like, maybe don't hold a character that people are attached to behind the paywall. Have it be either a new character or costumes, cosmetic stuff. I feel like there were other ways to go now that we're talking about it.
I have to wonder if there's like a long-term effect, because like I know especially you have felt burned by Black Ops 4 specifically and how it's handling map packs in comparison to Battlefield 5. But I think just like on its own in a vacuum, Call of Duty having map packs like is not, it's certainly not a new thing, right? That's been going on for years and years and years and years. But I have to wonder if now that you have all of these newcomers, you have things like Fortnite that are extremely popular, if it's like, well, do I play Fortnite for free and just like it's pretty reasonably priced for all this stuff, or I don't even have to worry about it. I can just hop in there, download it, and play with my friends. We're all really excited about it. Like I wonder if like as you get more counterexamples and other things, like on their own they may not seem like a big deal, but in the long term, especially when you can only commit so much of your time to a certain thing, if that plays a factor, right? Like does it play a factor for you with Call of Duty coming out yearly, having all of this expensive DLC as opposed to something that is totally free and constantly evolving? I don't know. Like I said, I want Soulcalibur 6 to do well.
Yeah.
Don't do things that are going to piss people off.
Yeah.
Because there are times where like I get interested in a game and like its ecosystem or what it calls its currency, I'm like, wait, what is all of this? And it like it is kind of thorny and I don't want to touch it,
Yeah.
I wonder if that happens for people. Like, are there people out there who are like, oh man, I haven't played Soulcalibur in forever, since 2 or whatever. I want to get in this. Wait, what's this? This character is not included. Like, I wonder if that
I remember using her back in the day. I got to pay the season pass for her. Like, huh? What?
Right. Like, I wonder on a very casual level if that hurts people. I don't know. Do you think if Soulcalibur 6 gets really good reviews that all this will blow over? Do you think reviews are going to be important here?
Well, I just think, crazy assumption. I feel like the people that care the most are the ones making a fuss about it.
Yeah.
But the people that care the most love it, and at the end of the day are going to support it. It's
that
Soulcalibur
just
6.
sounds so bad.
It does. It sounds horrible. And that is exactly what a corporate suit is going to say.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well,
no, that's exactly what they're saying.
Yeah, like, oh, this character, they like her, but, probably looked at the numbers, like, even, like, how many people really do main her? Oh, 7% of the player base? 6%?
Right.
Okay, we can afford to put her on there.
Take a hit.
Yeah. So, I liked the developer's response of, like, yo, this character cost more to make.
Yeah.
I thought that was being honest. So...
Yeah, and
like
I have no reason to not believe them.
Yeah,
but you're not there with those conversations, right?
Yeah.
And so you don't know the full story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think like, yeah, I believe you, but
yes,
that's not really. I still got to spend that money.
Yeah.
But the thing is like, I will be the one that's reviewing Soulcalibur 6, and having gone through this rodeo before, reviewers actually don't need to spend that money. Yeah. Like. They make sure, like, Capcom or Bandai Namco or whoever it is will go out of their way to be like, hey, also, here's a season pass code. Do you think that's okay? Like, do you think that...
I think if you disclose it or, like, whatever.
Sure. It's just, it does get weird, though,
That's
right?
a really, really interesting question, Ben.
Yeah,
that's a good question. Like...
When I get Tira for free, I'm just going to be like, oh, well, she's fun. But,
exactly.
like, I don't have to... empty $10 out of my wallet or whatever, and it ends up being so.
Yeah, maybe they shouldn't give DLC. It should just be the base game that everyone is going to buy.
They want
the
game to look as like appealing to you as possible.
Right.
Yeah.
So as the reviewer, it's your job to be like super upfront about that.
It's on you,
Explain
Ben.
that. Yeah.
Pressure's on you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have no problem.
Don't mess up.
Don't mess up,
That's
Ben.
why I'm here saying that. But I do think it's weird. It's hard because with fighting games, it gets so individual. Where it's, like I said, like, I'm not super attached to Tira, right? Like, Soulcalibur 3 was the one I skipped over. I played 2 and then 4.
Yeah, me too.
So I'm not going to be speaking to a Tira main very well. And you
Yeah.
get that all the time with fighting games. Like, you have people that are like, listen, I only care about, like, create a soul and making a dumb, goofy character. Like, that's what I'm in for. Or I only care about whatever offline options they have. Or I only care about, like, going online and fighting people. And so I just feel like you can get so individual where other things, it's like, well, the only thing you can do is go and compete. Right, and so we're all kind of experiencing the game from the same level, and so yeah, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to wrap that up into a number sometimes.
Yeah,
because you can only speak to yourself.
exactly. The ones getting hurt the most are the people who main her, and
Yeah.
we don't. So, but I empathize with them.
Yeah, I do wonder though. Like, he definitely was like, "Hey, you know, we could have handled this better." I think that's another thing you need to keep in mind. Like, we're a unit of people, easy allies, that are releasing stuff all the time. Like, we're paying attention. Like, when you guys don't like something, it may definitely seem frustrating in the moment, and it might take a while to change, but, like, we do pay attention, and I hope that with Soulcalibur 6, if the rest of it goes well and this was a weird thing, then there won't be this weird thing for Soulcalibur 7. Like,
Yeah.
that's what the optimist in
from
me
it,
wants
Yeah.
to say. It's not that, like, you shouldn't let your voice be known, you shouldn't complain,
Yeah.
or that this doesn't suck, but, like, keep in mind, this isn't the end-all be-all. Hopefully they'll learn. Hopefully it will get better.
Because think about the
over
Tia
time.
mains that
Tira, yeah.
Tira have never played The Witcher 3 or have played it and do not like it. Like,
Right.
here's Geralt. Like, get out of here, Geralt. I don't want anything to do with you, and now you're going to make me pay for this character who's pretty much an OG since 3, you know?
Yeah.
So,
And I've done
frustrating.
a lot of praise for Tekken 7, right? And there are a lot of people out there who are like, wait a minute, this isn't Tekken without Lei, and now
He's
to
in.
get Lei, he's a character that you have to pay for.
Yeah,
So it always feels really bad for somebody out there.
Street Fighter was Sagat free, or you had to pay for him?
No. But the thing about Street Fighter V, the little asterisk that you can put with Street Fighter V is you can pay for characters with fight money.
That's right, that's
you
right.
can grind it out
Yeah.
and not spend real cash to get
Which
them.
is the way to do it, devs. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let me earn it in the game, or let me buy it if it's cosmetic only. That should be the new standard, period. End of the day.
Yeah.
Earn it in the game, purchase real cosmetics that don't impact gameplay.
It kind of feels like a win-win for Capcom, where it's like, if you have the people that are really grinding it out, they're just naturally going to have the fight money. So, like, our most dedicated players feel rewarded. But then there are people out there who are like, well, I didn't care until you added Sagat, and I just want him, so I'm
here
going to
now.
open up the
Wallet, yeah.
the wallet. Yeah, yeah.
You said a lot of the details about Soul Calibur aren't known, about like how much it'll cost separately.
Right. And
what's
that's
all
the
in season
frustrating
pass.
thing.
I think that's a big problem with
Yeah.
it. If people knew exactly what was going on and had like a clear idea,
Right.
maybe it'd be a little less chaos, but
Yeah, we're like a month and a half away from release.
that's very close.
I don't know exactly how much you're going to tell me. I don't know what the other deals. Like,
Yeah.
there's just so many unknowns. I don't know how much Tira is going to cost on their own. Again, it's like, yeah, maybe that stuff is out there, but it doesn't feel as out front and in your face
As
as
it
it
should
could be. I
Sure.
do think they could have handled the messaging of Soul Calibur 6 a little bit better.
Right.
Like, even yeah, you can create a character stuff. Like, yes, you did come out with a trailer. Yes, you have said that it's out there. But, like, that just feels so important and big. Why wasn't that out, like, a long time ago? Like, Soul Calibur 6 was announced what feels like a very long time ago, and it just feels like the whole marketing machine for this thing could have been a little bit cleaner than it was.
Yeah, if there's a season pass and they're like tying her to it, and if they throw on cosmetic DLC that you can't earn, that you have to buy, like some clown costume, and just weird example.
I can see it.
Then we're getting real dicey.
Yeah,
you know?
that's
Then we're getting
That's
real
very dangerous territory.
Yeah, then it's real sketchy. So we'll see.
Yeah. I don't know. I just wanted to get your opinion on it. It sounds like we're not like completely up in arms, but we understand why it's annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess to maybe cool this down a little bit, not that it's been hot, I guess, but where are you guys at with your hype level for Soulcalibur 6? Like, where is your perspective at?
Solid 8.
Solid 8? What do you think is making that 8?
I have a nostalgia connection to it, you know, played it on Dreamcast as a kid and played throughout the years, and you know my feelings about The Witcher 3 and Geralt. So a solid 8 in a crazy time.
Yeah.
Red Dead Redemption 2 2 weeks later.
Is that worth $60 to you?
It's going to be hard, Ben. For me with fighting games, it's really hard. Traditionally now, the only fighting game I really buy, I bought Street Fighter V because of the hype, but really I only buy Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Because I like going through the story mode, and then I get online, I win a couple, lose a lot, and hang up. You know, it's just really hard. I'm not very good at them. You know, I like having fun locally with you guys, but the opportunities to sync up locally are few and far between nowadays. So, you know, an 8 for nostalgia and Geralt, and I know it's going to be a lot of quality, but it's still a hard sell.
I do think for you guys, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like for me, I'm always wishing that I was playing more Tekken just because of how much I fell in love with that game. Like I really loved it. And I have been dipping back into Street Fighter V and Tekken, and so it's like for me these are things that I might check in with over years, you know, and that's awesome. And so I do feel like I get money out of them. It has been frustrating. Like I've wanted to play more cross tag battle. I've wanted to play more Fighting EX later. Blade Strangers just came out. Like it feels like there's a new fighting game all the time.
Shinobi Strike.
Right. Under Night just came out on PC. That seems cool. I don't know. It's a lot to keep up with, and they're so complex, right? Like it's not like you can just be like, oh, I'm gonna pick it up and understand everything. You got to really commit some time.
Totally.
But I think for you guys, it's great because like we have that group stream. It's a lot of fun. You kind of get full.
That's what I want out of fight. Like that's what fighting games are the most fun for me is just playing with my friends.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if I'll buy Soulcalibur 6. I'm not sure. Like I don't know if I'm gonna go through the story mode. Fighting games for me, are at the most fun. I'm just playing with my friends. Yeah. Like that's what I want out of it.
I'm really curious to see how this story mode turns out. I think that's obviously going to be a big deal for a lot of people. But yeah, just the hands-on time I've gotten with Soulcalibur 6, and I felt this way with Tekken 7 too, where it was like, and I'm certainly no Soulcalibur expert, quite the opposite, but it was like this game just feels right. Like you just, it's this intangible thing where you play a match and you just want to keep playing more matches because of how tight and good and flashy it is. Yeah. And that's always a good sign.
Hope there's a Siri cameo. Maybe before Geralt goes into a portal. See you later, Siri.
I mean, he's in the story. Did you see the story trailer?
Yeah. He walks out of the portal, man. Yeah. It's so hype.
Portals.
Anything could happen.
I hope he's like...
You might play Gwen in Soulcalibur. You're not going to play
I hope
Gwen
he's like at Kaer Morhen, you know, and he's like...
isn't that the map?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. It's
that's right.
It's his map. Have you seen Soulcalibur characters fighting? And Geralt doesn't even need to be there, but the Witcher music he's playing? Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
What's your hype level, Brad?
Yeah, what is your hype level, Brad?
Out of a 10, like a 5. Like I think it's a cool game. I just don't know if I'm going to buy it.
Yeah.
Especially like this time of the year.
Yeah.
It's coming out at a dangerous time, like you said earlier. I like Soulcalibur a lot. I think they're really fun. I don't really play fighting games that much anymore. Yeah. I just don't find myself playing them. I do like fighting games, but I just don't put in the time usually anymore.
Yeah. It being weapon-based still matters.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. I love that.
Be a nightmare and hitting somebody with like one attack and seeing so much of their health go away.
Yeah, I mean, I played so much too. Yeah. So much too. So I love Soulcalibur, but just don't know.
You know what else has a 2?
Red Dead Redemption? Easy.
Yeah. September now, dude. Almost.
It's all right.
Here we go.
Stay focused.
I want to play Soulcalibur 6 with Don.
Stay focused.
That's all I want.
Yeah, like that's
what I'm most
dude.
I'm watching you guys.
Yeah. Be good. It'll be fun. All right, we're ready for some emails.
Yes.
But Blood can only play as Geralt on the group
Yes,
stream.
he's only allowed to
He
play.
cannot play anyone else.
No, sorry, bud.
Even
No.
if he hates
Wait, I want
Azeroth.
to check this character. No.
You have to be
Sorry,
Geralt.
man. Drink this potion.
Our first email comes in from Brandon, and he says, "Hello, everyone. Last week, the public was finally able to see what Cyberpunk 2077 currently looks like in development, with a comprehensive near 50-minute walkthrough, and personally, I felt it was much shorter than that. This has me curious. Do you think developers may adopt this kind of presentation more often, as opposed to a 2-minute trailer or a 5-minute we're accustomed to seeing during a press conference? What kinds of games do you think would benefit from such an exhaustive reveal? Thanks for taking my question, and stay easy, fellow allies." Brandon, this was very good.
Elder Scrolls, the new one, will benefit for something like this.
Yeah.
Showing you what this game is about and what you could do in the game, what sets it apart from other open world RPGs.
Yeah.
Especially when we hadn't seen like gameplay trailer or gameplay of the game yet. We just saw like, a cinematic trailer, which is showing like things in the world, but showing how you actually play. I think they had a lot of questions to answer.
Yeah.
And they gave us a good idea of what it is.
Totally. Yeah, I think it's a case-to-case basis. Depends on the game. You know, I wouldn't expect something like this for a Mario game.
Right, exactly.
You know? So I just think it depends on the game. I think Cyberpunk is tailor-made because you can just have one. It's like an episode of a TV show, you know? You go through like her, character creation and some dialogue, some going through the city, action beat, a little story. So I think it all just depends on the type of game.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, I don't know if I want to see 50 minutes of The Messenger. Like, I want those 50 minutes for me.
Yeah.
All you need is like, hey, it's like Ninja Gaiden. Here's the gimmick. It plays really well. Go.
Totally.
That's all that I need. But think about Cyberpunk 2077. It's like, I'm probably going to spend 100+ hours in this. 50 minutes is nothing.
Yeah.
Like 1/100th of the game, maybe less than that. But at the same time, I totally love how the way he phrased it, where it's like, it didn't feel like 15 minutes. When you have a game that is that big, trying to shove it into 10 minutes in a press conference really doesn't do it justice. Whereas here, I think you're getting people really excited because they're like, oh, I actually got something out of this.
Yeah.
I do think you're already seeing a lot more people do it. I think you'll see it being an increasing thing going forward.
Totally.
I'm frustrated, in fact, that more games don't do it. I think the marketing for Dragon Quest XI has been abysmal.
Yes.
I think them really getting out there and putting a lot of attention on a nice, like, let's explore the world for 15 minutes in Dragon Quest XI would really do a lot for that game. I think it's frustrating when games kind of feel behind the times with this stuff, and they are trying to play it too traditionally.
Yep.
Would you watch 15 minutes of Dragon Quest XI?
No. Spoilers.
But you're already in, so it doesn't matter, right? Like they already got your $60.
Like Cyberpunk E3, show me it.
Right.
Like, this is the same because it's the same. So if I hadn't seen it at E3, I would have watched all 50 minutes.
Right.
Like
Hashtag all 50.
What's the Bethesda's new IP they're doing? The space one?
Right. Why can't I think of what it's...
Starfield.
Starfield, thank
Whatever
you.
that is.
Yes.
Like, do a video like that for that game.
Yeah, I'll
I
watch an hour
I mean,
of that.
I'm not saying it's going to be 50 minutes, but
But like a
Fallout
big,
4, right? They spent a lot of time
Yes.
with that. So,
like show, like especially when we have so many questions about a game, I think it's important to show it off.
Yeah.
right. Like, I would love 50 minutes of Fallout 76 right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we wanted. We wanted more of that game.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think that in any way it's a bad idea? Or are we just like pretty much on board, think it's going to happen more? It's good in certain long cases.
I think it's great. I think it's transparent. It's honest. It's like, hey, here's the game as it stands right now running. We're playing. This is real time. We're playing the video game as it stands on this day and time. Here it is. What's better than that? What is better than that? It's not some touched up, cut trailer. It's not some CG cinematic made in a lab. It is the game being played, period.
And it wasn't like Jones brought up how it wasn't like Battlefield's reveal with like a host and everything, like going through all that kind of stuff. It's like, here's the game.
Here's the
Here
game.
it is.
Talk amongst yourselves in Twitch chat.
I do think the side of this conversation that we're missing, it's like, well, yeah, it's Cyberpunk, which, like, Witcher 3 was universally loved. the E3 hype for Cyberpunk was ridiculously high from us and from everyone else. And so it's like when they drop 50 minutes, it's like, of course everyone's going to pay attention. But imagine like this is some no-name, independent, like here's 50 minutes of our game. It's not going to get the same attention. And in fact, maybe a very terrible way of doing it. So like, do you think this only works for the Fallouts, the Cyberpunks of the world?
No, because I think if the game speaks for itself, you know? So if we had never seen or known what Shovel Knight was and they dropped like a 15-minute, you know, let's say 15 because that's a shorter game than a 100-hour Cyberpunk. If they had dropped like a 15-minute thing of Shovel Knight, we would have been like, dude, yo, check this game out.
I think the thing is though, like, there's just so much game news. Like, think about how many times we're on a stream and somebody's like, did you see this? And it's like, no. But I'm amazed that I didn't. There's just so much game news that it's not just the fact that they do the, you know, however many minute video. It's, would we be aware of it? Like, when Red Dead Redemption 2 drops something, you're going to know.
The world stops,
But, like, how do you get people to watch 15, 20, 30 minutes of your thing?
I mean, it's like CD Projekt Red.
That's
people are going to pay attention to what they're doing.
Right.
That's the eternal question. How do you get them to watch?
But if you're a big, like, established studio who people love, you have a way better chance of doing something like this.
Yeah.
And especially if, like we said, it depends on how long the game is and how much there is to show exactly. Like, I don't even know if I would need to even see 15 minutes of Shovel Knight.
Yeah.
Like, 5's probably fine for me to totally understand what that game is and to be into it.
Yeah.
You just need to play like 30 seconds of a song from Shovel Knight.
Yeah, and you're like,
it just needs to be a black screen.
Bye.
Yeah, oh man. I was talking to Kyle about Shovel Knight, and I was like, they can take as long as they want and do whatever they want, and I'm in.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah,
that is how much goodwill they bought from me with Shovel Knight.
Yeah.
I love Shovel Knight so much that, like,
Bye.
yeah, like, blank check. Like, you tell me what you're doing, Yacht Club Games, and I will be there with money
That's
in
like
hand.
the PS1 days with Squaresoft.
Right.
We're like, oh yeah,
right.
Squaresoft, let's go.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
But now we're just like, okay, what's this? Let's maybe investigate a little more.
Yeah. Man, the PS1 era days of Squaresoft, it was like you didn't know what you were going to get, and it was going to blow your mind and be awesome and, like, push things forward.
Industry forward,
in a crazy way. Which, like, kind of feels like where CD Projekt Red is, right? Like, maybe not as prolific or diverse, but
It's only a couple studios like that these days.
Yeah.
You know, Naughty Dog and Sony, Santa Monica, and
do you think you could
CD
name
Projekt Red,
like 5
Rockstar.
we know it's going to be good, have absolute faith developers off the top of your head?
Yeah, those 4. And
What are those for? Go off the list.
Naughty Dog,
Okay.
CD Projekt Red,
Okay.
Rockstar, Sony,
Okay.
Santa Monica,
Okay.
Insomniac.
Okay.
From software for me.
Right now,
Do
yeah.
you think I enjoy Insomniac, but do you think Insomniac is a guarantee, like, this is going to be awesome?
They have those spin-offs, so maybe not.
What was it?
The Ratchet
Fuse?
All for
Fuse.
One, yeah.
I just that's what I immediately thought of was
Okay.
Fuse. Yeah.
Sorry,
Like,
Insomniac.
It's
I
been a
love ya.
while, so they've
Yeah.
definitely elevated themselves.
Yeah. Kojima Productions.
Let's hold up.
I hope so.
Let's hold up.
I hope so. I really hope so. You know, Death Stranding is going to be great. I believe it's going to be great. I don't have any doubts.
It's going to be something. It's going to be
It's
something,
gonna be something,
dude.
all right,
It's
yeah.
going to be something. It's
I
going...
shouldn't say I don't have any doubts. I guess
Yeah.
I do have some doubts, but I'll be there.
I'll be there.
I'll be there.
Day one.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
Carrying babies around.
It's going to be something.
Next email comes in from Mike. Why do we play hard video games? Hey, Alex.
Oh, Blizzard's another one. Sorry.
You think Blizzard's is one?
What? Name a bad game they made. Recently, within the last, 15 years.
Hearthstone.
You guys are
I'm just kidding. All right. Hey, Alex. This summer, I've taken to cleaning up some trophy lists, some of which were left
Nice.
untouched due to their extreme difficulty.
Jeez.
After strenuous 20 attempts at beating Max Payne 3 with 1 life and a time limit for the Shadows Rush Me trophy, I almost immediately hopped into Windjammers to complete arcade mode on hard. For a while, both of these tasks made me stressed, but always had me coming back, looking for different angles to take them on. I'm already in search of the next challenge. So the question is, why? Is it the euphoria upon completion, simply for the trophy or achievement score? Why, for example, does a fantastic but difficult game like Bloodborne resonate with so many people? Let me know what you think, and feel free to share your story when a game had you gritting your teeth.
That dopamine rush.
I guess that feeling of, I love that, just that feeling of finally defeating something.
Yeah.
It's like such a feeling of relief and satisfaction that I don't get that much. So when I can get it, I really want to take it, especially if it's a game I really love. Like, I'm not going to do that with every type of game. Yeah. Just depends if I really like the game or not.
It's just such a balance for me, you know? I love when a difficulty is balanced, and that's why Souls and Bloodborne caught on, you know? It's really, really, really hard, but it's never like... For me, I guess I can only speak for my personal abilities, you know?
Yeah.
It's just such a nice balance. It's like, died a couple bosses and a couple times, but I'm going to get through this, you know? And when you finally do, it's just so rewarding and it feels so good. It's more rewarding than just like, you know, mashing through a game.
But I feel like we play so many games too. We look for stuff like that. Because, like, I can totally understand people not wanting challenge or anything like that.
Totally. It's all that. It's again, it all comes back to balance. You know, sometimes
It
it is
does.
nice going through an easy game.
Yeah.
But I do love the feeling of a hard game that pushes you, that makes you pay attention, that makes you focus up.
I just get addicted to learning, and like that's such a shitty, cheesy thing to say, but I really mean it. And that happened to me with The Messenger, where I'd run into a boss and like get embarrassingly obliterated. Where it's like, oh, like I did nothing. But then by the time I beat him, I had taken like 1 hit of damage because I had learned it so well and I had evolved so much in such a short span of time. That's what feels so satisfying to me, and that's why I will sing the praises of things like Ninja Gaiden or Devil May Cry or Bloodborne or whatever it is, where I feel like I can have that sense, where it's like, if you give me space to get better as a player and overcome it, that is such a satisfying journey. Where I don't relate to people and think they're crazy, and it's totally fine, play how you want to play, but like, I will never be there. Like, I don't enjoy the, hey, you take 1 hit and you have to start over challenge. Like, I hate those.
Yeah.
I don't think that's any fun.
Brutal.
Like, the things where it's like, okay, it will take me so long to make any progress. Like, no, thank you. Or the things where it's like, hey, you have this really difficult game. Do this thing that's just tedious. Like, go find 1,000 of this thing. It's like, well, it's not really engaging in the fun mechanics of this game.
Yeah.
It's like some super tedious, super long other thing that is not fun at all, that I would only do for the sake of completion. Like, those things don't tend to get their hooks in me as much. Like, I love trophies, but I have my limits.
Yeah.
For sure.
I love trophies, but I don't go for platinums because it makes me look at the game differently. It makes me play it differently. It makes it more artificial for me and mechanical. And I just like playing organically and naturally. I just like going through my games. I don't want it to be a checklist. I don't want to grind out some weird thing. Like, I love trophies. Love when they pop. But, you know, rarely am I like seeking one out.
Yeah.
Like Bloodborne, I sought out because it's do everything in the game.
But that's
You
what I
know,
was gonna.
it's got to be a good list of trophies.
That's what I was gonna bring Bloodborne up, and why it was so much fun to get, because like, the game outside of trophies is just so much fun to get through and so satisfying to get through, and the trophies didn't really make you do all that much outside of what you were doing anyway.
Yeah, it's not like, hey,
it wasn't,
kill 20 guys with this weapon.
Yeah,
Right.
it's like see all the endings and finish the Chalice dungeon. Like,
Do you know what else seems like it has a pretty solid platinum trophy along those lines?
Dragon Quest?
Dragon Quest 11.
Nice.
Oh.
Now, there is an exception.
Shenmue has a good one too.
There is an exception to that.
Shenmue's is great.
You do have to get every party member up to 99.
Grind it out. Yikes.
But that maybe doesn't seem that bad. We'll
Nice.
see. We'll see. I'm not saying I'm going to get it. I'd like to get it, but we'll see. We'll see.
I also there are games that I actually have gone for the platinum. Batmans. The Batman Arkham games.
Those are like good platinums.
They are, dude, but they're hard, you know.
Yeah.
And I eventually
Well, of course they're gonna be hard.
Yeah. I eventually give up because it's like get 3 stars on like all the combat challenges or the Predator challenges and like do a combo with every weapon and move in the game. It's like some of those are so hard that I'm like, all right, I'm good. Like I got close, but now it's just getting frustrating and grindy, so I'm gonna just stop that.
I'm okay with it being hard. I don't think platinum should be super easy.
Definitely.
But it's just like another thing that annoys me. I don't have any problem if you have a trophy associated with difficulty where I run into problems where it's like, okay, there's like 3 tiers of difficulty. I can't get the highest one until I do like the other ones.
Beat it on normal, unlock hard, beat it on hard.
And like
Yeah.
this. It's
Yeah,
like,
sure.
no, I don't
But
have
I
time for that.
I love when games have that trophy though, when it's just
When
beat
you
it
can
on
do-
hard.
When you can
and
do it at the gate, when
Yes.
it's like, hey, listen, man,
Not enough-
we're going to give you a trophy for
Yeah.
doing extreme. You can do extreme right away. That's fine. I'm way okay with that.
Not enough games do that anymore, I feel like. Like difficulty trophies have kind of been thrown aside.
Yeah.
I love that.
Our last email is a heavy one.
Wait,
very
what's the hardest
personal one.
what's the hardest trophy you guys got?
The hardest
know?
trophy? The hardest
Hardest one?
platinum?
Or just hardest
Probably,
one?
Probably Bloodborne, which I don't think is a huge accomplishment, but
How about you?
Maybe Demon Souls?
Demon Souls. That's a
Maybe.
good one,
Just-
dude.
For not like difficulty wise, just like item drops.
Yeah.
Like that's what all the Souls games kill me on is like item drops.
yeah.
my biggest problem is I get too distracted by other games coming out.
Exactly.
Yeah,
There's
that,
not enough
like,
time to
It just
platinum
depends on
one.
the game.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
I really like I only do it for now really for games I really love.
Yeah. I love them and don't get them all that often, but I'm glad they're there.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
weird
It's there if I
thing.
want them.
Yeah.
Totally.
Like I said, our last email is a little bit heavy, but I thought it was good. I thought it was a
Okay.
good email. So settle in. Hello, allies. This is from Dan. Sorry if this brings down the mood of anyone who reads it or the tone of the podcast if it's read aloud. I've been wanting to ask this question for a while, but it's taken time to muster up the resolve to actually pose it because even the act of typing it out sort of brings up the reality of the situation and can nosedive my mood into a state of wallowing unhappiness. After a 6-year battle against the lurching fiend that is cancer, my mother passed away very recently. Very sorry to hear that. She is to this day the single strongest force of positivity that I've had in my life, and I'm a much better person as a result of being raised by her. During the last few weeks of her life, I lost myself in a game called Axiom Verge. I don't know if it was the similarities to Metroid that got me, and it harkened back to the weekends I spent as a child where my mom was vibrant and healthy while I would sit in the living room playing Super Metroid as a 12-year-old kid. Or maybe it was just that the game was awesome, has great music, and a sort of sterile atmosphere that led me to divulge in the play of it all. I think it's easy to have a knee-jerk reaction to my binging, one that could say it's an unhealthy addiction or avoidance to real problems. Trust me when I say it wasn't. I was there with my mom up until the end. I cried like I never have before with my wife and family. I was at tons of different get-togethers as a result of what happened. It's just that when the time came to go home, I really just wanted to feel a sense of catharsis, a momentary instant gratification that provided a much-needed solace given the situation I was in. Have any of the allies experienced a moment where all they want to do is lose themselves in something specific, like a game or movie or activity? I definitely don't want to bring any sort of personal, horrific stories or anything like that, but anything positive that may have happened as a result of video games or something else would be enlightening to hear. As an aside, I just want to commend the allies for doing what they do, as has already been stated. It's been a long and difficult month for me, and Easy A has been one of the few constants that I've tuned into during that time. I always knew I could count on Ben Sui Coden streams, or a good Easy A podcast, or Frame Trap to listen to, or Jones answering my dumb hypothetical questions on Cup of Jones. Hearing the words somber tapestries uttered from someone has never weirdly felt so positive. Love and respect, Dan.
Yeah, Dan, sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah.
My brother's going through it right now. He's got cancer. And that's one of the main reasons I went back and was playing all the Batman games, because Batman is like the most comforting thing of all time for me. Can just wrap myself in that, and that's what kind of drove me to that. I just wanted to play something I'm familiar with, play Batman, you know, just zone out and just be in that world. So
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah, my mom went through cancer last year, but I remember playing just Super Mario World like recently after I found out, just like kind of like just like, oh, I just need something super jolly right now. Just like, yeah. I mean, I've done that with numerous situations in my life where you just need to kind of forget about reality for a minute. So yeah, I totally understand.
Yeah, I've been very lucky when it comes to family and sickness and tragedy. I really haven't had to go through much of any of it.
Knock on that door. Just knock on it. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
Knock on wood. Yeah.
I believe it.
I've been very fortunate
Yeah.
with that. There was a point, however, and I don't want to get into specifics, but there was somebody that I really looked up to that I met that was like mean in a not joking way, that like actually went out of their way to say some things that I thought were like pretty crazy to me and the person that I was with. And that was like a bad moment for me. Like I was already going through a lot of like self-confidence issues and insecurities, and like it was just a really dark period of my life. And I know we talk about Dark Souls all the time, but it was like a weird perfect union where like I wasn't feeling good about myself and this game was really hard. And so like getting through it, I think felt better than it would have on its own, because it was like, again, like he said, it was catharsis. It was me getting through that. And I think video games have always been that. Like that was a really intense moment of it for sure. But I wouldn't say like I'm not social, but like I'm a very introverted person. I enjoy being by myself, doing whatever it is that I'm interested in, and just going down that rabbit hole. And I no matter, even though it's my job, even though it's what I do all the time, like games are still that outlet for me for sure. So I completely relate to that. Yeah. And thank you to Dan for sharing.
Yeah,
that with
thanks,
us.
Dan. Sorry, man.
Sorry, dude.
Are there anything outside of video games where you guys have kind of found
Oh
that?
yeah, music,
Movies,
TV,
you know.
movies, yeah, whatever.
I like to throw on like sad stuff, you know, because it's you just empathize with those characters more, and
Yeah.
you know, you see other people going through it, like in the movies and the shows, and I just like to lose myself and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think like every obsession has been some sort of that. Like even Hearthstone, it was just like it feels nice in a world that can like sometimes feel like nothing but chaos, where nothing makes sense, or you're like, how could anybody ever do this? It's nice to just be like, I know what a zoo deck is. I'm going to play zoo and go. And, you know, I'm using Hearthstone here as an example, but you can apply that to anything.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice just having something in your life that you understand and you feel like you have some control over. I think, I mean, obviously they can be unhealthy, but I think if used correctly, it can be a very, very good outlet.
It's like, I'm Batman, I'm going to stop the Joker.
Yeah.
He's going down. He's going down tonight.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to end this podcast on like a down note. I liked the question.
Sure,
Thought, you know, maybe people out there could relate to it.
Yeah.
No doubt.
But yeah, thank you so much to Bradley Ellis
Sure.
and Michael Huber for joining me on this super hot frame trap once again.
Hottest day of the week
we'll
today.
Yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you want more of us, go to patreon.com/easyallies, where we're trying to maintain that 50K goal so we can get a studio.
Hopefully with air conditioning.
Hopefully with air I just, for the record, like, okay, first of all, easy living is an amazing thing, and we are, like, stupidly privileged to be able to do it.
Right.
So, like, if we complain, punch us in the face. I understand. However, like, not at the end of the world, don't want to rant and rave about it. I have never been more warm than easy living. I felt like I was actually cooking alive. I had never been in an environment that was that hot.
My apartment is even warmer, Ben.
Really?
My apartment is a nightmare.
Do you not have air
Like
conditioning?
no air conditioning.
What?
It's
How
like
do you live?
it's like a crap window thing that doesn't really work.
Oh no.
Yeah, no.
Huber.
Like in the winter time, my apartment is warm. Yeah.
Weird.
You can come live with me.
Yeah.
I mean that.
Yeah.
That's not just, I'm not just like being goofy. Like,
Come live with me.
It's
come
rough.
live with me.
It's so rough.
We have air conditioning. It's wonderful. We also have cats. They're very funny. I think you would have a good time. But no, seriously, man, like That is rough. I didn't know that about
Brutal,
you.
man.
Just trying to survive.
That sucks.
Stay cool.
Do you have air conditioning, Brad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pump
All
it.
right, cool.
Pump it, baby.
Awesome.
Pay the bill.
All right.
No way.
We'll see you next time, everybody. Bye.